Hey guys, thanks. 2 o'clock. That means 2 hours to go in the trading session. What a day it's been. Back to the downside here. Very headline-driven market continues into afternoon trading here. We're back to basically session lows. 1.43 there for the S&P leading the way. The NASDAQ, I should say, leading the way, 2%, but 1.43 session lows for the S&P. 1.2 for the Dow, the TSX here in Toronto. 0.4, yeah, pretty ugly right across the entire board. It's been back and forth all day for crude oil. We were positive at one point, now down 2.3, 6 and 7% for Bitcoin and Ethereum. One of those days. Yeah, pretty ugly board here to show you this afternoon. I wanted to point out communication services 2 days in a row here for Viacom, or Paramount, as they are now known. 19.5%. Remember, earnings were terrible. They changed their name to Paramount yesterday, down another 19.5%. Tech stocks leading as far as negativity is concerned. Cisco standing out there on earnings a little better than expected, but Nvidia, MPWR, and NXPI, basically all the chip makers to the downside today, as are the banks, all of them in negative territory. Individual banks very, very red on the day. So one of those days, you got to look hard for some positivity. We'll go down here to Walmart, up 4% right now. Coke as well. I read a note on Coke. It was a record amount of dividend increases that came out of their shareholder meeting. So nice spot for Coke again. Some material stocks catching a bit today outside of ALB, down 17%. So pretty ugly as we head into the final 2 hours of the day. It's exact opposite of what we saw yesterday on the NASDAQ there. You can see positive right back to very, very red for tech stocks. Welcome, guys. Lots to get through. In the next 2 hours, we're going to bring on Danielle Shea coming up before 3 o'clock. Get some options trades and options ideas. Now that we're kind of through earnings, what do we do as far as movement is concerned? Still a headline-driven market, as we've been saying, so we'll get her take on how she's going to approach the next couple of weeks here in the market. In the meantime, if you joined us at 8:30 this morning, we gave you a plan for when the market opened at 9:30. We're going to go back and revisit some of that right now, and including Neil is going to talk us through one of his trades.
Thank you, Brendan. And if I'm trading Palantir, then you know it must be Palantir earnings. Now, obviously, I know this is Sean's baby. You came in. Earnings were not that bad, realistically, but at the end of the day, when you're not making money, these valuations have been driving the market. So they were under pressure, down 10% in the pre-market at one point. So it comes down to this. Can you find shortable levels you like if you want to play with the trend, or do you have a level that you want to defend? And it was pretty plain and simple. I have a 60-minute chart up just so you can see a better look going back into late Jan of this $12 level. And the key thing about that 12 is you didn't really have a hard bottom down there. Like, you broke this a couple of times, got lower by 10, 15 cents, and then snapped back up. It's the rejection from that level that we're concerned with. And you go back, make that fresh high, you then bounce in front of that level again and come back and retest some of those highs. So going into today, there was only one look I was going for. However, you always have to think about the counterparty to the trade. When a stock is down and the trend is down and the market is going to the downside, everyone's feeling those shorts, right? As a matter of fact, I even like to short at 12. But you always should be afraid of short bottom fail break, something we talk about all the time. And that is, it goes down, makes initial break, so you grab 99s or 98s on a $12 break. It tries to make that initial push. In this case, we know on the daily, it has not been going past that 1185-ish mark. Does not break through, and then barcodes. And we actually said on the live show, as this was happening, was in the short, didn't go, immediately out, didn't want to get trapped. If this does not make a fresh low and breaks out at 1205, it's a long. It's trap shorts at the bottom that were too stubborn to get out, and then you just grab the long trade. Now, in this particular case, because of the nature of that trade, it's a tight stop, it's at a key level, it's a very liquid name. You can size up and do a scalp trade. But once it passes about 1225 or so, it then just turns into a bit of a hold. And at that point, I'm thinking about establishing how far it can go. I knew from going back into some of these charts, okay, we had a level at about 1260. It made a bit of a low there. And then we had another one at 1275. Just sort of resistance areas that could, support that could turn into resistance areas on the way to the upside. And that's probably most of the reason why we're taking shares out at 50 and then holding on and then trying to get out at 40 and then 60 up at that top again. So I did think we were going to continue this move, held on to a portion, said, look, give me that 1275, 1280 in front of 13 or bust. We're going all the way back down with that last 10%. In this particular case, you're seeing the market slide to the downside. But if you're willing to hold when you got that low of the day, I believe trying to get that home run on the last portion of the trade makes a heck of a lot of sense. Those wipeout type bottoms are some of the best trades you can get from a risk to reward standpoint. But you need a few things to line up. It's got to be a trend down. It's got to be a stock that people are looking to go short. It's got to be a level that people are keyed in on that they want to punch. And you need that liquidity there. And then once the shorts are trapped, you've got your long. It's a defined out to me because once that bottom is taken out, that's your risk level. You can't then hold on to it if it breaks that low. That's the key thing about going with that counter trend trade. So don't always trade Palantir. This time it was just too juicy of a setup at that $12 level.
Lots of opportunities this morning coming out of a big earnings day, including Palantir, which is a good kind of segue into our next topic here. That's the watch list, guys. Miss V will join me in a second here to my left. She'll have that link in the chat once she does. Palantir, obviously a Cathie Wood stock. Everyone knows that. Cathie Wood on CNBC here over lunch talking about all of her stocks, including Palantir. This was like the main overview headline that came out of that. Cathie Wood obviously saying her innovation stocks are currently way undervalued and recent fund losses are only temporary. She specifically pointed out two other names. One of those was this one, Zoom. I believe it was around here. There's a little volume spike there to the upside, but Zoom right back to day lows for ZM. And I want to flip over and show you Roblox as well, because she also mentioned this one. And it tried to get back above VWAP there, but also back to day lows here for Roblox. In fact, negative on Roblox after a positive start to the day as the overall market, guys, gets back to day lows as well.
I actually traded the CNBC Roblox bump there. And look, this is the thing about trading flash news, because when she was on, specifically when she mentioned Roblox, it jumped about like 70 or 80 cents. It had a good volume spike. Everything about it was good. Play the fade trade into the range. It goes up, makes the top, comes right back down, 70-cent move. You get in, you get out, and then it drops another $2. So sometimes you have a setup that you just kind of like, okay, roll over at that top. This is when the news comes in. Your volume spike actually corresponds. You guys can't really see it with that look. I'll do this. There's your volume spike late in the day, right in the middle of the afternoon. And it puts you the nice range trade in. So you're risking maybe 10, 15 cents to make 3 or 4x. You know, of course, when that's your plan, the stock then rolls over and goes continuing to the downside, just turning red on the session. But that's everything at this point, right? Like that's, I mean, I don't really know much of anything that's holding up this afternoon as we're continuing to see some downward pressure on overall names. What I will say about Roblox, I know you know this, Sean, that 53 at the bottom is the one level that you've been able to stand on. A few names are at levels like that. DoorDash found a bottom at 100, Roblox 53. I'm not sure PayPal's found it yet, but that's getting close to 100 too.
Look, guys, the People's Trader's here, so don't worry. We're long Roblox right now, so let's see if that can hold out. We are picking that bottom, as Neil was just discussing right there. So we are bottom now on Roblox, and let's see if it does hold. I mean, that's really what we're looking for right now. So in and out there, we had it early. We dumped it out a little bit there. Remember, we got out of half, and then we reloaded, and then bang, bang there, all the way to the upside. Our best out is 56. Then we take a reload right now at 54. Because that's the same thing we did before. And then now we're reloaded once again down here at 53.60. A little piece out at 80 there. But let's see if Roblox can fly back to the upside, I guess, right now for us. But I don't know if there's going to be any sort of relief here because, yeah, it just continues to get beat up. PayPal's down. Everybody's down. Is everything okay? Okay, everything's down today, so you got to be very, very careful. Affirm. A lot of these Cathie Wood names today just getting absolutely killed. So, yeah, there's going to be that S-ARC. I have to see that interview because, unfortunately, here I wasn't able. I saw her on CNBC, but I wasn't able to really listen to anything that she was saying. So I'll try to find that interview tonight. If any of you have that, tweet it at me. Cathie Wood on CNBC. I'd like to hear what she has to say. But for right now, for Roblox, I like the name. I mean, we're playing off that 53 bottom. Let's just see if it holds. That's the bottom here. It's pretty obvious trade, so we'll see if it can hold. We are long right now, Roblox. Decent sized position. Let's see if it holds out hope here for the rest of the day.
All right, a number of Russian-related headlines coming through again this afternoon. We'll try and keep updating those as well. The market back to day lows. That's basically the most important one right now. Nvidia, we talked about this morning off of earnings yesterday. I mean, a decent report overall for Nvidia. It wasn't that bad. There was, some complaints regarding the ties to crypto and crypto mining here, but Nvidia trying to hold 245, guys.
Yeah, look, Nvidia is getting beat up. It's a valuation thing, and I think Bullard was even making some more comments about inflation, and we know the environment that we're in. High valuation, you better guide really well because apparently 53% revenue growth is not fast enough. Like, that's not enough growth, right? Like, you got to think about that for a split second. So there wasn't a heck of a lot to hate in that report, but you saw like guidance. Like, DoorDash lost more money than expected. Had a good guide and then was up a ridiculous amount. They've given it back, obviously, but this is what happened here in Nvidia. For me, I had one look for this because we're nowhere near 270, and that's where the resistance was, and that's where I could figure a short because like Sean was saying this morning, if Nvidia gets going, it could absolutely soar if people like that report, which is a pretty solid one. So to me, you had to have a really solid foundation for the structure short. There were other shorts that were great. That's fine. But I really only liked the 250 level. So what I'm happy about is I took the one trade off at 250, scalped some, and then just took the pain and then got out of it. It ended up making a bottom, but nowhere near where I would have found the support. I was looking for closer to 35 to 37. That never got tested, so I never got into it again. It makes its bounce here, but I was a one and done and thankful to do so. Like that was sort of the approach in this kind of market that I'm going to go with, especially off of that open. I'm going to get in at a price that I like. I'm going to have my out. If it doesn't work, I'm out. That's done. I'm not even going to bother sort of going back to that well unless it then reemerges at a price that makes some sense to me. And that's worked recently, so I'm just going to continue to go with it. If we get down, you never know, right? Almost over 2 hours left in the day. We get down around that 35, 37. You can see for a couple of weeks now, that's been good support in Nvidia. So I'd expect we could see some buying down there.
All right, guys, this could have easily been the trade of the day, Nvidia. This is the #1 P&L stock for the show today. You can see here, look at this, downside. Respect some of these levels at 250 early, and we're able to take profit. And then check out this, and I'm very proud of this trade. And we talked about this live on the show, and then we worked you guys through the bottom trade here for a $6 winner on Nvidia, right? So that's why it has that, because it did have a move and I actually caught it. But here, respect these 250s, right? In early and out. But the market just kept on pumping lower. So we're like, okay, let's get out if it breaks 250. So look at all these. These are 250.70 bids, and then most of these outs are $1 at least out, and then we drop it out at 250 flat. We get a great print, and then it drops all the way down here. We let it barcode, right? Sometimes these trades don't work out when this happens. It barcodes, and then we wait for it to happen, pop it back up to the upside, and then here it is. So we go long at 243.15. First out on that one, 245. That's $2 winner. That's a $2 winner right there in about 5 minutes. $2. Then it explodes to the upside and we let it go, man. We let it go all the way. The only mistake was not respecting this level right here. The 50 level, 250 would have been great. But then it comes back down, and we talked about this on the Market Mover show. If it takes out that VWAP, we're gone. And as you extend it out a little bit more, here, let me do this. As it extended out, it looks like that was a decent out because it hits that VWAP. It does come back, but then you see right now just testing this bottom of 244. But guess what? Roblox right now, nice out. So good out there at 99 as we take Roblox. We'll see if Roblox can go #2 here for P&L. Upside. Okay, let's go Roblox. Here we go. We have an offer now at, oops, hold on, I got to cancel some of these orders. We have an offer now at 45, just ahead of this 50 period into here. Let's go Roblox. Here we go. Market's starting to go right now, Brendan. 50 cents in the money for Roblox. 50 cents in the money right now for this Microsoft. Buy the bottoms, baby. So we're back up here. Maybe we take a piece out and let the rest fly. So far, so good here. But I don't know where this market's going to go. Might be time to start taking some profits. Microsoft right back here to 293.85. 70 cents now in the money. We'll take a piece out.
Yeah, Big bounce there for the futures. Not seeing anything headline driven, but a lot of volume did come in there. Yeah, I know, guys. We're going to watch this ISPO. Don't worry, we'll get to it. I just pulled this chart up, and the percentage was 666.00. So I think that tells you all you need to know about ISPO. But yeah, tried to bounce back up to 95 there and failed. Anyways, we'll continue along. Want to mention Tesla. Tesla getting hit here this afternoon on, this was the headline anyways this morning. The Transportation Safety Administration investigating more than 400,000 vehicles because the automatic braking system would engage without any reason to, apparently. So that had Elon, yep, still watching ISPL. That had Elon on Twitter talking about the SEC and their agenda against Tesla. So straight to the downside for Tesla today.
Yeah, I think the problem with Tesla, we were saying that this morning, was you're just challenging that 900 level, and the last push that we just had really couldn't even get to that 950 level, which has been just multi-day resistance. And it's very similar. It's almost exactly the same as when you look at Nvidia's chart, where you had a pretty clear resistance zone. It was 270 on Nvidia. It was 950 here on Tesla. And then when you fail lower than that, there was just more downside risk. And then you throw in the environment that we're in, and it's kind of like everything just converged at that particular point. Now, for me, I was in a Rivian short, and I was using Tesla as a proxy to help me sort of navigate when I wanted to get out of it, and still managed to get out of that one too early. But sort of got the confidence that Rivian short when we had the 900 level breaking on Tesla. There's not much to lean into support-wise until, look, you get back to like 875. That's where we've sort of bounced right now, at least temporarily. And Tesla it's a great company, and they're definitely the leader, but none of that matters when we're coming into a discussion about valuation. The bid is just not there on a lot of these names. When they start going to the downside, the bid just happens to evaporate a little bit. So momentum is in the other direction in this particular point. I don't know if we're going to get to Rivian, but I'll show you, because Rivian was looking very, very strong this morning, and then it went right into 8150 resistance. And this is sort of counter trend to what was going on in the overall market and what was going on in Tesla. When you had that rollover, that's when you saw things accelerate in Rivian. It's almost like it dragged anything that was strong to that downside. So, unfortunately, even something like this, which was going absolutely booming, is now red on the day. I mean, Rivian's gone from, a good $6 move to the upside to giving it all back in the span of, just not even one session, but just one afternoon. And that's what we're dealing with. Market's right on those lows. Every little bounce we have these small bounces, but then it keeps fading back in. So hopefully this will change. We've got all the earnings out of the way. They were overall pretty good, but sometimes that just doesn't matter. Everyone's scared of high valuations.
Yeah, the earnings being done is the savior to this market, trust me. You're going to get good news coming out. We can't trade off earnings right now, because all the companies that continue to go down, and this is what I was talking about with Kathy Wood there, all these companies that continue to tank are all not going to have good earnings. So we already know that. So when Palantir comes out today and says that, hey, man, we don't make any money, it's like, oh, my God, you got to sell. But FYI, we already know about that. I know Neil did trade of the day, but wow, we had a monster here, and we had a reload right there on Palantir. So easily well traded today. And then you could see in and out there at 50 as we mess around, and then we messed around right here again, but now it's Tank City all the way back down to 12. So hey, man, I mean, we're already laughing right now. Roblox, 70 cents in the money. Microsoft, we just took a piece out right there for 60 cents. Fisker, we still got in the money for 26 cents, and that's hitting some bottoms now as well. I'm debating going long on Palantir. I was waiting for that 12 flat or so, but maybe now we get that 12.10. This could be something here to go long. Maybe Palantir's done heading to the south side right now, but my main concern right now is the market. I mean, shout out to Phil. What's up, Phil? Thank you so much for your kind words there as well. You're welcome to come through, guys, if you're in the GTA. If you want to come through for a quick little visit at any time, you can do that. Let us know. 14,300 right now. Something to look at for the futures. We already talked about 14.4. That's cracked, and it's been a pretty good level right here. Look at this 14,400. Like it came up to a bounce, tank, back down. That's the level that we're looking at as a key level. So watch out for that 14,400. I'm going to wait for Palantir because I want to use 12 as the very bottom, like this. So if that comes back in, we'll wait for it. With the market coming back down, no point in paying up for some of these prices. I don't know. I mean, Roblox is starting to go ham a little bit here. I'm going to wait up near 55 to get another piece out. But Roblox, a big success story for me today. Unlike, actually, yesterday wasn't too bad. But let's see if Roblox in the market wants to start heading north side. So I don't need to have Palantir right now. Roblox is really what I'm focused on.
ANGH, another sympathy play on that ISPO, halted again to the downside this time, back to 25 here. Another crazy one this afternoon. So this one has, just checked, 12.3 million shares on its free float. ISPO about 15 million. So maybe, I mean, we were just talking with Lewis in pre-market this morning about the fact that there haven't been any of these over the past, month or 6 weeks even. And so maybe this is the start of something new, which would be good if that's the type of trade you're looking for. Yeah, let's talk about Palantir because it was the forecast that came up a little bit light for PLTR. Wow, that thing just, ANGH just went down to 1890. Crazy. But yeah, guys, Palantir ends up being a little bit of a fade.
Yeah, like obviously we just talked about it, but like, the daily chart's one that we didn't show. And look, the truth of the matter is almost every single name that has one of these sort of larger pullbacks, whether they're not making money yet or the valuation's crazy or whatever you want to say, multiples, you can throw whatever dart you want at it. But until they make good consolidations and try to break back out, it might not, it's just almost like it's too early, right? And Palantir was attempting to make a pretty solid bottom. Like, look at the acceleration you've had. You had a consolidation down there at a previous low at $18. And then when it fell off that shelf, you got the first actual consolidation bounce, and it was at 12. And then you have a defined top here at 1450, 1460 or so. And now we're reforming this bottom at $12. So that's the level to defend. It's coming back down there again. I'll be on the bid. It's just rinse and repeat. It's not the same trade as this morning, though. Like when you're trapping those shorts and then it's getting that run up and you get that crazy like wick back to the upside right there at the open, that's a different momentum play than sort of going long in front of it the second time, right? There's going to be a little bit less pure quick fire momentum snapping it back to the upside. So you risk a little bit less. You don't want to give everything back in your day at that point. What I would say here about $12, though, if we hold it again today, maybe hold it to end that week, it doesn't mean that that's the great bottom. You can always have something like this when it breaks out of that consolidation, too. And we've got a nice defined range that when it takes out 1450 or so, as long as 12 is held, that's going to be a great, like, say, swing opportunity, like hold the bid or close above 1450. That could be a ways away. But the first step for any of these is holding a level of support, ideally after earnings. Almost everything that we've looked at, it's just like if you got to wait till after earnings just to see how it reacts. Like imagine you went into, and I'll say like DoorDash is a great example today. Imagine you just saw the price action on DoorDash and was like, okay, time to buy. The market liked those earnings and didn't let it calm down. Well, yeah, back to 100 after being up 30%. So that's why you want to have that cooling off period. Let's see if 12 can hold for a couple of days and then reassess Palantir. For now, it's a good scalp trade, though.
Look, guys, back when we had Stockfather on, I dropped you guys the knowledge of the 3-day rule. And everyone was like, what's that? What's that? And you got to give stocks at least 3 days because today is the flush out day, right? And everyone sort of goes with earnings and they sort of figure that out. And then tomorrow, again, more of the same. Price target cuts or raises, whatever, upgrades, downgrades, things like that. And then the third day, you kind of let it figure itself out. If it keeps on tanking there and doesn't find a bottom on the third day, then that's sort of when you go back in there and start to buy. So we're going to have to wait on Palantir a little bit here because this is day one. So there's many more days to come here for Palantir. And yeah, I mean, if the futures keep on tanking, look, these stocks can't get out of their own way. So, I mean, if the NASDAQ keeps making moves down here, guys, if you show my screen here, Tim, if the NASDAQ just keeps on tanking like this, then honestly, man, you're not going to get much leeway here. Like, let's go to NQ. Let me just show the daily here on the NASDAQ. Actually, NQH22. I just don't want to screw up my chart. Sometimes this will do that here for our futures because we don't get the full look here. But here's the daily, and look at this. I mean, as long as the market keeps on coming down, it's going to be very, very hard. The NASDAQ is basically returning to, I mean, we're a day or two away from these lows one more time, right? And so it's tough for these high growth stocks that don't make any money to come out and catch a bid. We just saw Kathy Wood go crazy on CNBC. I feel like it was an hour interview or something. And that's why I want to watch or listen to or watch it back, see what she says, because I don't know how you defend some of these stocks. I was lucky enough to get out of TDOC there at 86 or 87. Like, I don't even know what it is. Hopefully it's lower and then I'll look smart. But, you know, it dropped all the way, 71. So, like, you know, some of these stocks just kept on falling and falling and falling, and I don't know where there's a bottom. So, I mean, Palantir just kind of goes right into that. You know, not making money, they're a 20-year-old company, whatever. I think this has a crazy runway back to the upside. I'm not buying this in my swing accounts. I'm buying these dips and putting it away. So hopefully in 5-10 years, when it's retire time, then I can take this money out. So that's what we're talking about, guys. And you're going to have patience with a lot of these names, Palantir included.
Hey guys, we've got a 100 euro super chat from Aristoteles for 2. Today has been a great, crazy day. What do you think about DTTW earnings? Aristoteles, thank you so much for your generosity and support. And guys, indeed, Draftkings is going to report their earnings today after market. So do you have any thoughts on that?
Guys.
We'll give props. Thank you so much. Aristoteles, thank you so much for the super chat. I'll put you even on the screen here so everybody can see. Those of you who are not in the chat, thank you so much. The 100 euros. Putting it on the screen so everyone can see. The 100 euros. What's up, Tim? The 100 euros there for that. So watch out. Thank you so much for that. Now, you want to talk about Draftkings earnings? Unfortunately, where's my down arrow for this one? I can't suggest good things. And honestly, the reason why, it doesn't have too much to do with the company. It's just the space that they're in. You know, you're going to get into a space right now where there's tons of competition for Draftkings. You know, the big boys are in the building, man. MGM is in the building. Caesars is in the building. They're all building. They're in the building, and they're building apps. They're doing all this. Now you have, you know, this is legal gambling now in the state of New York. Monstrous. They're going to come with monster numbers, but obviously it's for last quarter, so the Super Bowl won't be on this, I don't think. They may talk about and guide forward based on some of those Super Bowl bets. I think that was the biggest, obviously, gambling opportunity for DraftKings ever so far, with the Super Bowl coming through and with all these new participants on the app and whatnot. I just think, like, they're not making money. I can't see how they guide forward. Like, I don't know what, there's going to be no baseball, maybe, Neil. I don't know. Baseball could come into play here again. And I don't see the runway for DraftKings to get bumped back. Forget about $60. I was lucky enough to sell it up here. I have no idea how I got out of it. Like, wow. And I'm not buying it back. There is a 50 period here at $25. So it has come off the bottom. That bottom of $17.50 was amazing. I think it is a buying opportunity at some point if we get back near 20. But just like Palantir, I mean, what else can we call up today, Neil? Like, you even said DoorDash had a great report.
Like
down.
This is exactly the point.
Yeah, go ahead. I think we have the same thought.
It might not even matter what the numbers are.
Right.
And we've been doing this a long time, and I can't think of an earnings season where you look at the price action after market, and it's almost just like, who cares? Because all it is a reflection on how big the bets were going into earnings and who got caught offside. And then once that subsides, it's a totally different story. So, look, the wick bottom at 1750, of course we're going to be looking at that level tomorrow, because that's set up pretty much exactly like Palantir is. We had a little bit of a consolidation bottom, a clear low that we just put in here in January. So if you go down there, that's where your support is. We see the exact same setup in Palantir. You're down like 15 whatever percent, and you're testing off that level. I guess it's more than that, probably 20%. And you're testing off that level. That's where you can buy. Would I trust a breakout at 25? Usually that's set up pretty well, but let's say it breaks it in the aftermarket. That doesn't mean it's a long. And we're not going to talk about it, so I'm just going to show you. That's what we're talking about with DoorDash here. And this is easily the prime example of this recent phenomenon, because this is DoorDash aftermarket. It was up at one point over 30%. They lost more money than expectations. When was the last time you had an EPS miss of a company that didn't make money in a year where raising rate environment, and then it was up 30%? And what happens? They absolutely pulled the rug at the open on this stock. I know it's bounced now off $100. That's because it's $100. So this is what we're looking at. Post-market action and then pre-market action. That's where all of the profit was if you're going to take that kind of a play. Either you were selling it at 4:30 or you were selling it at 8 a.m. or maybe possibly like 8:20 or 8:30 or right at 9:30 at the open. Because when the market was open, it was sell this report. And it was just the algos and the post-market trading that caused the price action. So those are two different things. I'm not reading much into those moves after market. It might give us some levels to trade, but in terms of getting a direction out of it, forget it. Like, you just got to go with what logic says. And I know I missed the DoorDash trade this morning. We're looking to short off of 120, but nothing about that report suggested to anybody rational that it made sense being up 25%. I didn't see anybody defending the notion that DoorDash should have been. I'm not saying it was a bad report, but up 25% didn't make sense. So if somehow we see aftermarket, Draftkings break 25, go to 30 in the aftermarket, I don't think it'll be, in my mind, all systems go. I want to see it actually trade at 9:30.
More Kathy Wood talk for us. Roku to come. There's a super chat there for Roku. Thank you very much, guys. Roku to come after market tonight. I want to mention this as well. This is when she was talking about Roblox individually, but the innovation stocks are not in a bubble. Absolutely not in a bubble, according to Kathy Wood. But there was
Go back to that, just venting.
We have a.
There was Roblox. There was also a few others on the space side of things that we can talk about, guys. But Roku, another Kathy Wood stock, aftermarket tonight, guys.
That was nice, Tim. I was just telling Maggie that I'm a heated Italian, so watch out. But yeah, no, I mean, they are. I mean, are they in a bubble? I don't know. I mean, look where they came from, right? I mean, Roblox, maybe this is a bubble up here, right? How about another stock that she loves, UiPath? I mean, what are we supposed to be talking about? Okay, Roblox and Kathy Wood, fine. So look at UiPath, another name that I was actually in, and thank God I got out of this. There was some sort of you remember it was right in here. It was like $48 or $50.
I remember the morning.
Yeah, there was some kind of a seller report that came out, and I was like, it was right here, because $50, it had come from 90, and it was right bouncing on 50, and I love that. I love taking these longs, and I was long like 52 or 53, and then I got out like, I think it was 47 or 48, and I regretted it because the next day it went back up or something to 51 and then came. Actually, this doesn't even look that bad, UiPath, now that I look at this. But what about C3AI? I mean, what about a lot of these names? And I don't mean to go over all these because we all know about them, but I mean, for her to say that these stocks are not in a bubble, I feel like, this won't load. This was $100 and something at one point, and we did this yesterday, now down to 20 and change. So let's just go over to Roblox because that's sort of what we're supposed to be talking about. All right, I'm down here defending these bottoms, and again, this is not like a scream for a long in your own long-term account. I like this stock. I am going to be picking more up if and when we get near that $50 mark because I feel like at least then there's some kind of a level that I can say, okay, and that could come tomorrow. I mean, it's what, 8% from here is 50, so watch out for that tomorrow. But right now they have some nice support at $53. The thing about Roblox is, and I mean, I play it with my kids almost daily, but you know, there are reports out there, and I get it, man. I mean, it's a slippery slope with some of these apps out there, and you know, the monetization of them, and then who the members are, and some of the security checks and things like that. And obviously, as a parent, I am very, very concerned about that. But honestly, I trust my kids enough that whatever. But moving forward on that, I think if we get past a lot of these short seller reports and statistical facts, I mean, there was something in, I think it was something in a London newspaper that was really blowing these guys up. But I feel like with the metaverse and with everything like that, Roblox is a solid stock. And I just feel like they can somehow monetize these deals that they've recently made with Disney and Nike and various options, like opportunities like that. So I like Roblox at some point. I think if there's any Kathy Wood stock, honestly, sans Tesla, I mean, you know, she's made already a killing on Tesla. And that's the thing. Like, shout out to Michael Burry. Like, you make one good call, and next thing you know, you're minted, right? But the point is that sans Tesla, and I'm sure there's some other stocks. I don't mind Shopify at some of these levels now. Roblox maybe is the next best one. So out of everything she talks about, I can wrap my head around Roblox. But again, you know, they got to make money at some point. I don't know when that point's going to be.
I just think we always have to distinguish, especially this year. it's one thing for a company to be a company you believe in and that you think is going to be there in 5 or 10 years and you think it's going to be able to grow and you think it's going to make money, and just simply the price that you're paying for it today. And that's what we're dealing with. And where I think the disconnect is with Cathie Wood saying, she's like, oh, I believe in this, I believe in that, and that's fine. And she can be right about all of it. But sometimes how these moves happen to the upside matter. And the truth is, when you go 3 to 9 trillion on the Fed balance sheet, and you have stocks that then get this lift off, a lot of times as that liquidity is coming into the market, that creates a bubble. It doesn't matter what you think about the actual company. That is what a bubble is. So they can come down just as fast. Now, however, as things are falling down, if you can start to pick out the ones, oh, well, this one's going to be here in 5, that's going to be good, and find some of those lows, then you're golden. That's what it's going to be all about in the next year or two. It's going to be finding which one of these you believe in so that you can start nibbling at it. But it's not all of them. Majority of these names that had these monster runs the last 2 years, truth matter, they're not going to go back to those highs. Some of them will, but most of them probably won't. That's just going to be the reality. We're going to have to deal with that. There's going to be some risk to the downside in the interim. And actually, there's one thing about Michael Burry that is worth noting.
Yep.
And there was an article, I forget exactly when it was put out, but when he said he got out of most of his shorts, I'm pretty sure that was actually a top. I think he almost got top wicked on the market. I think. I could be wrong.
A good way or a bad way?
The bad way.
Right,
when he said he gave up his shorts,
yeah.
That's the thing. You can be right. And he was kind of right about these things pulling back in. I think he just kind of, again, that goes with any short, man. Like,
look, we had Peter Schiff on yesterday. I mean, we can enough said about
exactly.
like, making calls. But look, I did want to say something, and thanks to Henry for this. Palantir, I don't even really consider that a Cathie Wood stock because I've been in that since the direct list, and I don't even really I understand that that's a name that she's in and it fits that profile. So I go back on that. Roblox is the #1 stock, but I would put Palantir ahead of that. So I would say 1A and 1B for there. And actually, it's like 1 and then like 5. Like I feel so much stronger about Palantir and what they can do in the future more than Roblox. So I would put Palantir ahead of that. And then honestly, I think Tesla's ahead of them all, but I'm already in Tesla and I'm in pretty deep. So we'll wait for that. I'm not selling any of my Tesla shares. And it doesn't matter where your average cost is, but as you guys know, Tesla is not at all-time lows like Roblox. Tesla's not at all-time lows like a Palantir. So we're assessing these companies based on current price. And,
I'll give one for you too. And I'm not saying I love this name, but I have a friend who's somewhat in the medical industry who was talking to me about biogenomics and was like, hey, PAC-B is a Cathie Wood call, and they actually know a little bit about this and was like, I believe in what this company could do.
Sure.
But it's still down from 54 to 10. Right, like that, and this is sort of the idea. I'm not saying go out and buy PAC-B, but hey, it's making a bit of a consolidation. This is what you're going to have to pick out because all of these charts look exactly the same.
Yeah.
So trying to differentiate it based on the chart, that's what we're doing trading, right? But you need a little bit more depth in terms of picking out the bottoms. You got to understand the company and the fundamentals if you really want to be buying one of these for the long term. And I just pulled up PAC-B because it's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah.
And I just recently had that discussion with a buddy, so it's not to say go buy Pacific Biosciences.
Yeah, no, that's okay. And I today actually, in all truth be told, I bought some ARK today, so I bought some ARK today. So on that one, I actually bought ARKQ at $66. So a little bit of a different, or was it 65? I'll have to find out. Is that its lows here? Where's the daily chart? Yeah, so no, it must have been 66. So I did buy some of this today. ARKQ. What is ARKK doing AM here? Is that up today? They're too net, so that's even worse. So I did step in to some of these, and I feel like it's just depressed down. It's a very, very small position. But oops, ARKQ. There it is. This one is the automation as opposed to the innovation. So I just looked at the portfolio and some of the stocks that they're holding. These is robotics, automation, things like that. So this is not, the typical stock like you may think. But here we go. I bought some more of this, and like Neil said, a lot of these names, not more of this, first time buying it, stepping in right now just to see if some of these bottoms hold. I mean, even if it goes all the way to the bottom there, this is in the RRSP, which is similar to your 401k. So I mean, I can't down talk something and then go ahead and buy with her. But like I said, I think that bubble's popped. Let's see if we go back up. So Q, everybody ripping me on the chat for buying some ARKQ here. But hey, first getting in right now, why not? Like I said, we'll see if it can work. I'm loaded up on pretty much everything else. Got to get some more bank stocks.
Oh, just before we move on, got to point out the market I mean, the NASDAQ just hit 2.4 and we're still rolling to the downside. So, of course, it was a good time for me to still be on the bid and catch that 1206 long on Palantir. So, anyways, the 05 was the breakout. So, it was sort of waiting for 6 the entire time. Maybe it gets a bounce, but this is definitely going to be a scalp trade out in front of 1225 in VWAP at this point. This market is entirely too weak not to take the profit if it wants to give it to me.
The other interesting point I found with that interview today, guys, was on Twitter. She was selling Twitter like crazy the past couple of weeks, and now decided that the management and CEO change was a good time to sell Twitter. So there's that as well. A few other things to get through here. Let's go to ISPO, and we might as well talk about ANGH because they're both moving very, very similarly today. Back to the upside now for ANGH, 125%. If you want to look at ISPO, I mean, we're back to, what is it now, 575%. Crazy movers here on low float stocks. I just double checked again. We're up to $10.40 for locates per share on ISPO.
It's a straight G note for 100 shares, man. And but the only thing I regret about this one is it was $1.50 when I first checked. I was like, I'm not paying that. It hasn't gone far enough. It's not like I wasn't even sure I wanted to short it, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna pay $1.50.
What is this wire here, by the way?
That doesn't seem good that you have a loose wire in your
Speaker wire down there. As long as it's not connected to anything, I think we're fine.
Oh goodness.
I started like kicking something. I'm like, what's that wire? But go ahead. I just showed the guys in case.
So when everything disappears, it's because
that's why. It's like I don't want to be responsible.
Wire.
There is a loose cable, but it is speaker wire. So I don't think we have to.
Oh, I think we're fine then, because that doesn't connect to anything.
Yeah.
Anyways, this stock look, there's some things about the market that don't always have to make sense, right? And that's the trouble. Now, obviously, if I had paid for the shorts, there's a very specific setup that I look for on those halt trades. And you might have got it one time here. I'm not even saying it would have been an entry point. It certainly would have been one when it got close to $100, but by that point, it was way too expensive to trade. And there's always a point at which I'm just not willing to chase a long trade. Like you'll see, like the first time the market opens up here, this is 9:30, an instant halt, so you're not really doing anything with it here. We have a couple of up halts. This is your breakout at the top. So if I'm not long here or on this particular halt, that's it. I'm not chasing it. Because it could just as easily give you one more shot and then rug pull down to $11 as it does what it does what it did here. And I remember talking to someone in the chat who had this dip where it got all the way down to 40, bought a 44, probably 44 in here, and then you would have had a nice little 40 stop or something like this, and then it runs up and then take it out in front of the high. And why? Look, I think that's a great out, and you're going to sit there and be like, but it went into $100. Don't forget Funware. Because Funware made a move like that when DWAC was going crazy, and just like they halted it here for longer than 5 or 10 minutes, what happens if it goes halt up and you're like, yeah, baby, I got 40s, I'm in the money, 100%, it's up at $80. They halt it and hold it for 2 hours and then open it back up at even money. You've got to be able to lock in that profit. Lock in the profit and then do what you want with house money, man. That's what it's all about with these, because none of it makes any sense. You can't say that ISPO was worth $100. Of course it's not. Like, what are we even talking about? Of course it's not. This late in the day, I'm not going to be paying that much for those locates. That's ridiculous. And NVCT is moving. That's a little bit more reasonable to trade. Tomorrow, if it's still trading up around $100, I think this is going to be something that every day trader is going to want to short. So the price isn't probably going to come down. I wouldn't swing it either. I'd take the profit if you can. It could just as easily be at $40 tomorrow as it could be at $200. And there's simply no way to make a reasonable guess of what that's going to be. There was that sympathy play, ANGH. I wasn't really monitoring. This I was almost paper trading because I wasn't going to go live shorting it. And then the other one to actually look at might be that NVCT, which up 50%, but has some interesting levels and might be tradable.
Tomorrow is only a day away, as they most famously say.
Annie.
Yeah, Annie. Okay, so let's just right now here on Roblox, I was really stupid here. I was actually waiting for a break a lot higher than this, but like when we have this bid on right now for Roblox, and like you can sit in here in a 70-cent winner, and we have the opportunity to get out of some shares, like we're still holding some. So normally I'm like out, and I don't want to get out of the rest in case it moons. But right now we'll see if we can get some out at 30. I don't know why we didn't right there. So Roblox right now back up to the upside as the market crash city right now to the downside. So watch out. The market's still making new lows here on the day. It's like like I said, a carnival right up in here. So watch out. I may just get out at 18, 19 and like forego the 15 cents that I'm waiting for extra right now, and then just hold the rest. And if it rips up, great. But honestly, like if this market wants to keep going down, Roblox is going to retest this. So you either hold it and then hope that it comes down and bounces back up, or we try the reload strategy, which I like. So let's get out of some Roblox right now and see if we can win if it does dip back in.
Great. NVCT also popping back up here this afternoon, guys. So another one to add to that list of crazy stocks going forward for the next couple of days. So big move here for NVCT, back to 9.5 on volume as well. Let's talk about some frustrations for today, because there have been, I mean, the market's very choppy over the past couple of days. So let's go, guys. Let's talk frustrating stocks of the day.
It's going to seem weird because it's actually going to be like my best trade. Look, Palantir, everything went to plan. So that was, and I think that like the way that move happened, it was a good informative way to look at a failed break. But DoorDash, I wanted short DoorDash in front of 120. So I end up going into the long trade, but it doesn't really matter what the end result is, because look at the chart. And we're just saying it didn't make any sense. I think everybody, it's not just myself and Sean. I mean, like Brendan said it too. I'm sure if I asked Arun, he'd have said the same thing. And I'm pretty sure like everybody basically believed it made no sense based on the report, what was going on in DoorDash in the morning. And then you had a bit of you had a double top in the pre-market up at that 120 level. It's like my favorite setup in the world, where you have something that you believe has gone too far. You have a consolidation top, it's showing you some weakness, and then at the open, it pops into that level. Now, the only reason, it's not an excuse, it's just, I said it there, I said it when we're on live, it made the move here at 926, 927. And I said I didn't want the position in the pre-market. I got burned the day before. I think it was Airbnb. I was just in too early. It would have been the right call if I just waited till the open. So I was determined to wait until the open on DoorDash. I didn't. I waited here. I never got the price. I then did not chase it when the market opened. And then the only thing left to do, and the reason I'm at least a little bit happy about it, was to wait for it to come into the zone I like to buy. And that meant sitting out like $10 worth of a move and then buying it there, and then not even rolling back into the short. So it's frustrating because it was probably actually, when I saw this, I'm on the train home and I saw it was up that much overnight, and I thought to myself, this one's a short tomorrow. That's just way too much. I actually didn't believe it would be up here when we sat down. It was. Sometimes you just have to be able to bite the bullet, forget about what happened yesterday, and just make the trade. It's that simple.
I see my girl Danielle Shea getting ready to rock and roll over there. This should be fun. I'm going to be coming on very, very soon to talk a little bit about options, whatever. I was reading some of her tweets today. Pretty good stuff there, Ms. Danielle. But I guess maybe that's why she tags me. Wink, wink on that one. But my frustrating stock of the day, guys, has to be Facebook, man. I mean, honestly, like, what kind of a people's trader am I if I cannot short like the worst name in the market here? We had Kevin O'Leary on, and he told us that everyone was buying this at 220, 230. I still believe that to be true. Not that there was a lie there, but Facebook just continues to make moves to the downside. And quite frankly, I can't believe the valuation of this name. And we actually, I think it was last time, I don't think we talked to Danielle, but maybe the time before, and I liked Facebook at whatever those levels were at. And then right now, it's just to the downside. Its previous all-time low was like 212.50. Not all time, but in this move, low 212.50, and it took that out today. So that should have been a short. You know, like when the market's screaming like this to the downside, and you're just like tick, 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 the 50 period doesn't even come close to hitting. You know, we have to go over to a name that we know is weak. I know that's Facebook, and we should be shorting that name. So for me, you know, a 212.50 break right here, that happened. That's the low that we should have worried about. It actually gave you a retest and then a tank down to 210. So, hey, like when I look at this now, because again, like what's up to my favorite bull right here in the building, I think that I want to go long. Oops, the bull just fell down, so there you go, to tell you how bullish trading's been going. But I like the long down here now at 210, but like I said, man, we're already long Roblox, now 80 cents in the money as that continues to go to the upside. But my frustrating stock of the day, Brendan, is Facebook. And I don't know if you prepared something, Brendo, but do you have possibly a frustrating stock of the day?
Frustrating stock of the day. Yeah, okay, I can show you one. I was going to bring in our friend Danielle Shea here, but why don't we talk about MRIN, real quick. I mean, you had to be super patient on this, but it was very, very choppy all day long after the gap up on the TikTok news, if you remember. You had to be very, very patient. 420 ends up being the top. Tested a couple of times before fading out. So frustrating in the sense that it took a very, very long time to play out, but it did give you a trade eventually. So, hey, we'll take it. Without further ado, let's bring in Danielle Shea, VP of Options over at Simpler Trading. As promised, we'll get some ideas. We'll get some insight into this crazy market. Danielle, great to see you as always.
Great to see you as well.
It's been a crazy week. Let's jump into earnings first, and then we'll tackle what's to come, over the next couple of weeks. As we, have seen, you had a great tweet today that I really, saw and thought, you know what, that's right. There's a bit of a trend developing here when it comes to, the day after an earnings report. It seems like everything is getting sold. How do we play this from the options side?
So what I'm looking for, and it's so crazy because in the past, I've always looked for upside momentum post earnings because, well, that's the market condition we were in, right? But that's not the case anymore. Now what we're looking for are companies that are getting destroyed on earnings. So I wanted to point out a pattern, and I can go ahead and throw up my charts here. But what I'm looking for is I'm looking for companies that really over the course of the past 2 quarters, they were already starting to trade lower. And you're kind of at the point where, you're at the dead lows. And if they disappoint again, they're just going to fall like a rock. And so, we've seen that. I'm looking at Redfin because I do think that's a possibility. But we've seen that, for example, with Roblox. This one just got absolutely destroyed. It was in a downtrend. Earnings came out. It was right near the lows and it fell off a cliff. So for me, the best way to trade this is really by selling premium. So when you're going into an earnings report, especially on stocks like this that have really high implied volatility, the best thing you can do is sell calls. Other than that, if you want to wait until after the report to see if it actually does fall off a cliff, by that point, the options values have been completely crushed and you can actually just buy short-term puts really cheap to trade it lower for a day trade.
For the short term, great ideas. Obviously, we're getting to the end of earnings season, obviously. So maybe some, calm will be restored here in the overall market. We had a couple of questions regarding, the next couple of weeks, obviously going to be headline driven. There's a lot of, macro geopolitical type influences on the market right now. For someone who's maybe interested in weekly options trading specifically, once we get out of earnings season, what kind of catalysts, what kind of moves are you looking for on a weekly time frame?
So, in this market specifically, really ever since we hit the end of December, because it's been so whippy, it's been incredibly difficult to swing trade on a 2 to 3 week time frame. So what we're doing right now in the options market is we're significantly shorting our options time frame down to a few days, if not a week. And what we're doing is instead of going with the trend, we have to fade the moves. And so, for example, on these strong days where, we have a big gap up and we're rallying directly into resistance, you can come in the options market and you can sell covered calls if you own the stock, or you can just simply sell call credit spreads on these strong days, because with these patterns, they have been fading immediately. And it's especially good to do post earnings.
Opportunities in that sense as well. I want to get your take on, we're going to talk about PayPal here coming up in a second, but I want to get your take on some of these stocks that have been demolished, since the highs that we saw at the end of last year. And I'm talking about 70, 80% retracements from some of these highs. When, I guess, is the best way to put it, when do you dip your toe in? And from an options standpoint, how would you approach maybe testing the water here on some of these?
So for me, the only way that I can, dip the toe in the water is if there's a catalyst for a short squeeze. We can use PayPal for an example. We can use, I don't know, which one do you want to look at? Peloton for an example. Any one of these stocks, yes, you can trade them on a very short-term basis, intraday, for a rally, a short squeeze rally. So for example, like if you're looking at Peloton right here, when Peloton had a positive catalyst, it was down on the dead lows, And all of a sudden, we had an earnings report that wasn't completely awful. It gapped up and you have short sellers scrambling. So in that instance, yes, you can trade Peloton higher for, a day or two, but then after it starts to fade, short it. So I'm not going to buy any of these stocks that have been destroyed on a long-term basis. But I don't have any problem with trying to trade a short squeeze off the lows.
Pick and choose, the opportunities as they are presented to us. We had a few people wanting your opinion as well, Danielle, on the overall condition of the world, the overall condition of the market, as we see, obviously, geopolitical, more macro type influences affecting the market on a daily basis these days. We'll approach this maybe from two parts here. One being, how do you maybe handle risk in this sense because the market is so headline driven? And then the second part being, is there a way to maybe take advantage in the short term of these, volatile swings that we've been seeing?
Of course. So, I'm definitely, I'm always doing research. I'm very into the whole macro picture. And, I know there's a lot of traders who will say, oh, it doesn't matter. It's just the technicals. But the fact of the matter is what is going on right now is so substantial because the major thing that's impacting the markets is the fact that we're not just going to have, free money floating around everywhere. So that is having a major impact on markets, and valuations are being completely reset because of the rising interest rate environment. So, for me, what I'm looking at, there's a couple different things. Number one, even if, I know there's a lot of traders out there who don't pay attention to the news and they don't want to, and that's okay. When I first started trading, I didn't either. So if that's you, just look at the VIX. The VIX is the best way to tell, if you should be taking less risk in the overall market. When I'm looking at the VIX on a daily chart, if the VIX is up above 17, I have to cut my position size in half, and I have to cut my time frame down too. So, if I'm normally doing like 5% positions in a directional bull market, I'm going down to 2.5% risk on my account, if not 1%. So that's something that's really important. And then as far as how to take advantage of it, I don't trade a lot of futures during a directional market, but I will come in and day trade just the indexes at market open and market close. I personally prefer to trade it in futures, but you could also do it via the spiders or the QQQs. Basically, my favorite setup in this market environment is trading the gaps. So for example, when you have a major gap lower overnight, what you get in the morning is you get a lot of panic. And so you can see a lot of selling initially, but then that selling will just slightly fade and you can use it for a day trade higher for 5 or 10 minutes. And conversely, you can do it to the opposite direction. If you have a major gap higher, there's going to be a lot of buying, and then you can fade it when it starts falling. So those are the kind of trades I like to do in this market environment because the VIX is so high and because of all the macro situations going on right now.
Hi, Danielle. It's almost as if you knew what I actually wanted to ask you about here, because there's a few phenomenon that I want to get your thoughts on here. The first one is, I'm going all the way back to Qualcomm earnings. Aftermarket, Qualcomm initially had a beat, and then there was a rather large-sized offer which just started dragging it down. I've never seen anything like it. It was about 50,000 shares. The stock's trading nothing, right? Just dragging it down. $10 actually trying to get executed, and followed it till they got executed. For the last 2 days in front of Palantir earnings, there's been someone dumping massive share lots in the afternoon at about the same price every single day. On top of that, we're seeing price action after market, which almost feels like it's not about the earnings. It's simply about who's offside the most and what do they have to do to cover their butt. So what's your take on this phenomenon? And is there something about the positions of traders going into earnings, maybe options specifically, or maybe even equity positions? Is there something about this that's dictating these moves and these gaps that maybe aren't making sense?
Oh, for sure. So, first of all, I think the major thing that's impacting these post-earnings moves is the fact that so many people came in and bought these stocks last year when they were up at incredibly high levels. Take your pick on, whichever momentum stock you want to look at. If we look at the NASDAQ last year when it topped out in October, November, that was around the time where, I'm getting messages from people that I haven't seen since high school asking me, Danielle, how can I get into the stock market? Whenever that happens, you have to know, dear God, please do not start buying stocks, because that is when everyone is buying the high. I mean, Bitcoin is a great example of that. So I think number one, the first thing that occurred is way too many investors came in long-term, bought the highs at the end of last year. Okay. So we had that situation. And then when the macro story completely changed and all of a sudden, we can't depend on the Fed to keep pushing the market higher, that was the time when, big money started pulling out of a lot of these names, and that caused a lot of people to start taking stops. And I mean, if you got into the market like last fall, can't be a good situation for a long-term portfolio right now. So I think there's that. And then, yes, I also do think that there's a lot of big money that's continuously selling. And you can see it in the options market, especially with the open interest in the options, which is why for, major strategy that I'm using right now is selling premium, because you can see, where those strikes are, that big money is coming in and selling those strikes. And so likely the market's going to stay below those when it comes to the options expiration.
Yeah, thank you so much. We love having you here, and I hope everyone's listening closely, because it's a perspective that Sean and I aren't necessarily going to be able to give to you. So thank you again, Danielle. Fantastic answer. What? What's happened?
Oh, Danielle, you're killing me here. I just went long Facebook at that 210. Like, come on, man. Got to learn from my own lessons here. We went long 210, and I was actually long 210 there, 210.05 or something, and then out 79 as it breaks lower. I should have just gone short here, Danielle. But that brings me to my next question. First of all, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. Thank you for asking. All right. So, when do we buy Facebook? And this is a kind of rhetorical question, but I'm going to ask it to you from an option side of things. Is there anything that you look for? Maybe it's a decrease in IV, or maybe you just notice upsize positions being put on from the call side or something. Is there something that we can look at from your side of things that might say, hey, maybe Facebook is finished, or the other way around, it has a hell of a lot more to go to the downside? And I'm not asking for a prediction. It's just, is there something from your side? Because when I look at a chart of this thing, I mean, there's really no levels. So how does that work in the options market?
So, when I am trading in the options market, I'm primarily a technical analyst. And so I use a lot of Fibonacci levels. I use a lot of moving averages. I use the weekly charts. I use the daily charts. I use the 195-minute charts. I don't really use options in a way where I'm looking at, like the Nigerians do. They're awesome. They look at, hey, there's a lot of open interest in this strike, and I think it's going to go up to this strike. I use it more in a way where I'm selling premium at those levels. So it's kind of similar, but a little different. But when I look at this Facebook chart, I can't really say, okay, based on where people are buying options, that's where it's going to go. What I look at it and I see that on this weekly chart, it has fallen through the 200 simple. That is complete destruction. If I'm going to buy a stock that's tanking post earnings on a swing basis, because, I'm primarily a swing trader, I got to buy it up around the 50 simple. Once it's through all of these levels, I mean, literally every level I have, it's through it. The next area of support that I have to look for is, okay, where is consolidation on this chart? Where has it stuck around that point before? And that's where you oftentimes will find that high open interest in the options market. So with Facebook, for example, if you look at, okay, you can see there's a lot of consolidation right around this price point. That's what, let's say 200. So if we go into our options chain and say, all right, is there a lot of high open interest at 200? So you go down to the 200 strike, the put strike. And what I'm looking for in my options chain to see, okay, maybe could that be a magnet? What I'm looking for is open interest and volume. And I'm looking for a strike that has 2 to 3 times the open interest or volume as the other strikes. So you can see that on Facebook, you have 1,800 contracts in this strike, but in the rest of the strikes, you have 600, 200, 700. So that would fit the criteria of looking for Facebook, potentially at 200. But I don't just use the volume and open interest. I have to use the technical levels as well.
Very, very good, Danielle. Thank you so much. I was trying to open up. Oh, here's a picture. Don't you have a cockapoo? Here's my cockapoo here as well. So her name is Belle. So I thought I saw you tweet something about one of your dogs at one point right there. But look, thank you for coming through. What is your dog? It is a poodle mix, isn't it?
Yes, I have an Aussie Doodle, a Maltipoo, and then I have a Chugador, which is a Chihuahua, Pug, and Beagle mix.
I had a pug before, and his name was Guido, the Italian pug, and his name was Guido. He used to wear chains and leather coats and everything. He's passed on, but we did grab this cockapoo Belle. You gotta love the poodle side of things, for sure. They're so adorable. But Danielle Shea, thank you so much. Simpler Trading, VP of Operations. Really means a lot that you come on the show, and obviously our viewers love you. So thank you, Danielle.
Well, I love your show.
Well, thank you, and. Give me credit on that sticky board of yours there, that whiteboard, and we'll see you on Twitter.
All right, sounds good.
Ciao.
Another awesome interview, man. And
I mean,
this is the thing, you got that different
Peter
perspective.
Schiff.
Yeah, and today, Daniel Shea, we're having a good week, man. The market, is the market having a good day? Probably not, because you might have guessed, another break to the low. And I was actually looking at, we talked about Roku because they're reporting,
yep.
I think, is it after hours today? Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be a disaster.
It just broke 145. It just went SSR, down 10%. Fiverr went 10% to the downside into their earnings, and now you're going to have the same thing happen on Roku. It's crazy. We were just talking about this on Draftkings, where you had that consolidation bottom, or at least it was attempting to, and that was at least near, it could drop into that support level. Well, Roku's already here, so 140 is within spitting distance. The other thing that happened is at the beginning of that interview, we were just getting into Palantir in front of 12, and at the end of the interview, we're about to get stopped out in front of 12. So look, it's a different trade. Like I said, it's a different trade getting that failed breakdown in the morning as opposed to taking it in front of 12 with the market screaming to the downside here. So I'm going to get out. It's not an easy short because you had that 1185 that we showed when we were doing the trade review. I think that makes it a tricky trade. You got a double bottom in PayPal 105 as well. So we have a lot of things going on right now.
It's crazy. And I knew as soon as that 210 broke, it's I should have reversed into that short. Now we are just see you later on Facebook, man, all the way down to 210. Let's talk about that PayPal right now.
It's one of those stocks that a lot of people are wondering if the bottom has finally been found. We're talking about PayPal, guys. When do we finally jump into this? So many people are saying this is an unbelievable fall from grace. We're coming up to $105 as we record this video. What do we do with PayPal?
So here's the thing. Everything this year, there's a high valuation name. You have to be careful about when they report. And I know we've got the PayPal report. They got absolutely crushed. Affirm has been beaten up in the fintech space. But you know who hasn't reported yet? Block hasn't reported yet. And I feel like that's that last shoe that could drop. This is a tremendous fall. But here's what I want to stress. While I'd be waiting for at least one more round of earnings. Let's see what happens with Block. Like I said, fintech under pressure. The momentum is not very good. But there's nothing wrong, there's nothing wrong with being late when there's a tremendous amount of upside here. When you're getting a valuation reset, a lot of these names, and PayPal included, they're not cheap yet. And it seems like they are because how far they've fallen. But in 2020, the breakout on this stock was at 125. And then it went absolutely parabolic. The bottom of that range is $80. So would it be reasonable for this stock to fall to $80? 100% it would be reasonable, just sort of looking at that trend, ignoring how ridiculous it was on the way up. That was balance sheet 3 to 9 trillion. Stock up 3x. It's not crazy, right? So when we start to come back into the downside, I feel like you want to wait for at least some kind of a consolidation. Maybe support forms up. I don't know if it'll be at $80. Allow Block to report as well. Maybe get some positive sentiment going on in the overall space, because show me a fintech name and I'll show you abject disaster. There's been no momentum slowdown here. As a day trader, you can pick out levels like 100 and catch bounces, and that's fine. So if you want to nibble in, fair enough. I think it's always good to find a level of support first and then maybe jump in a little bit later. Because if it's going back to 200, are you going to care whether you have 117 or whether you have 105 or whether you have 103? When you're swing trading, you care a lot about that. When you're looking for the long term and trying to figure out when it's okay to get money in a risky name, allow the market to decide when it has a bit of a bottom. And I'm waiting for Square to report.
Yeah, so I'm not even going to look at a chart because Neil just said it all. I mean, I was saying nibble at this thing at 200, it's at 105. Nibble at 160, it's at 105. I mean, yeah, nibble again if you want. And that's why you nibble because, and what we mean by that is just smaller position sizing as you go. I just have these stats up here, and I don't know if you can see them. I can't really make them too much bigger than this. I know it's white on white here, but look at this. Until we get some of these growth metrics back going, like Q4 2020 active accounts, 24%, now 13%, bad, right? Transactions, 27, 21, right? And how about this one, revenue, 23%, 13%. So the idea of this talk here is when do we buy PayPal? You just wait. Why buy it now? Wait for the next quarter. Wait for some of these numbers, guys, to turn around. Just these growth metrics, right? If they can't beat their revenue, if they can't beat some of their own guidelines, some of their own forecasts moving forward, then you don't buy the name. Like, look, this was my call of 2020. It ripped $100 from 100 to 230, something like that, right? So we had COVID. We had a lot of issues that year, made it go all the way back up to the upside. Now you're just absolutely crashing on PayPal. And look at it today, right? This is just one day, 111 down to 105. Like, there's no stopping this name. It's continuing to go to the downside. And honestly, I don't mind buying it here. I think at some point you're going to have to, if you do have some cash. But let's be honest, like Neil said, stocks aren't cheap right now because if you thought they were cheap now, they might have been the same kind of cheapness a month ago. And you're down like 50% from some of those prices, right? So let this happen. We haven't seen the bottom yet in a lot of these names. Maybe we have in PayPal, maybe we haven't. But for me, it's not a buy until we see those numbers turn around and we have to wait for next quarter and or maybe a hint from a Square, from an Affirm, something like that. Remember, PayPal just built out and spent a lot of money on their crypto, right? So you gotta sort of let that sort of ease out, let that hit the numbers. So I think PayPal eventually turns it around, but honestly, it's not a buy until you see some sort of an indication.
I'll add one more factor to that. In June of 2021, the stock traded 300 times earnings. Everyone's talking about PE ratios these days. We're at 31.4 on PayPal up here, guys. So that's as of the close yesterday. So 300 down to 31. It's finally getting into more reasonable terms in that sense. So a bit of a take there, guys. We're at 105. It's amazing on PayPal. Going forward, maybe we're finally in a place that we can think about buying it.
Yeah.
Let's keep going here, guys. I want to mention Fastly real quick. Fastly, another one that we were looking at this morning. I just saw it bounce back up on a volume chart. Might have been a day low. Yeah, it looks like it was a day low. So Fastly on volume there, guys, just took out a decent level of support anyways. But this is another one. Yeah, ugly today.
I say because we had that. I mean, if you look at this here on, and shout out to everybody that's watching this sticky note. I will keep on talking about it because honestly, and thank you to Krishna for saying something like these are 90% right, like he back tested them. Like, look at this Fastly. We talked about this short, right, that we liked it into the 23 area. That didn't happen. But look at the short that we did have. Well, I mean, obviously didn't get to 23, but we had this short real early, man. As soon as the market opened up, we had it here in a decent size too at 2080 there. We were expecting it to go to the upside. It looks crazy on this, but if you look at it, it came to the downside, out, and then it does touch that bottom of 1950 again, and then bounced up. So we got out on the way back down here at some of these metrics, the 50 period and the VWAP. But then all afternoon, it's pretty much just like tanked all the way to the downside. So yeah, it's frustrating for me because it doesn't look good when I do that, but I can't get these charts to work for that. But anyways, we are way down now, 1930 when we were short up here at 2080. So that should have been $1.50, and instead I'm taking 50 cents. So scratch whatever my frustrating stock of the day was. Maybe it's Fastly, but and again, a name that hasn't shown any love to itself in the last year? I don't know, 131 all the way down now to $19. Like, honestly, man, like this market is just so frustrating. And I said this over and over again. It might just be better to get into some ETFs instead of trying to play around with these, which is why I did buy that ARK. But like, this is just sad, man. Will some of these names turn around? I don't know. But Fastly continues to disappoint on the EPS.
Yeah, you know what? It could have been mine too, because look, I got stopped out at the high. I had the short, we scalped it out to be able to get like I think 30 or 40 cents on the initial move, but I was playing it to the the post-market low. It broke that. You can see it wasn't necessarily top wick, but it was close enough to it. And now you're breaking the all-time low. But I do want to pivot because people are asking. I've seen this symbol typed in the chat multiple times, and I know that whatever stock that's going crazy has been a wild one. But if that one is dangerous, then this stock is like American Psycho. Like this, it hasn't been able to stay open for more than 1 minute the entire time. So going from $10 to $66.66 with a theoretical auction price of over $70, it seems like, wow, look at this opportunity, buy it. It's just going to halt up and keep going. It's traded in that move 200,000 shares. There is no liquidity on this thing. Like, forget about the rug pull on, and I already forget the name of the symbol. It's like ISPN or whatever, ISPO. But forget about a rug pull on that. If the rug gets pulled on this, it'll drop even faster and even farther. And guess what? You won't be able to get out because there's no liquidity. This is about as dangerous as it gets. Like, this would be a no questions asked. I would never day trade this stock. It's just there's not even a level that it could hit. There's just nothing in terms of liquidity. You couldn't get out. So the risk isn't playing off your levels and your stops sometimes. That's when there's liquidity in the market. And something like this, your risk is actually, well, what happens if you don't get your stop? How bad can it actually be? Well, on the way down, let's just say you're holding along and you're like, yeah, I'll just stop it out if it breaks that whole price of 53. What if you miss that?
Right.
I mean, you could be getting out at 31, and suddenly we're not talking about, that's not about being $20 out of the money. That's about being 40% on a move past the stop level. And that makes it a no-fly zone for me. So I see that CPTN, I know it's crazy, but there's no liquidity on this. It's gonna open back up and it's gonna look really exciting. But I don't know many day traders that would be excited to try to trade this, because you know what, you'll also never be able to leverage up on it unless you're willing to risk everything on one trade every time you make a trade.
One more shout out to Aristoteles here. Thank you so much for the Euro Hundi right there. That does mean a lot to us. Thank you so much for that. And then I want to talk to Frank Jones here. What's up, Frank Jones? Yeah, instead of lamenting in the longs, yeah, you're 100% right, man. Why not just go short? I mean, the whole point is, Frank, is honestly, I can't believe some of these prices that we see, and these stocks keep coming down. I mean, Palantir's another one, right? It tested 12. Here it is. We went long again down here, testing 12. It breaks 12, and we get out, right? So, I mean, it's just that simple. Like, it's coming down to levels that worked for us in the morning, and just not, like, look at that, worked for us in the morning, but just didn't work now. And as you can see, like, we were just long there, 1203.50, I believe it was. And then where did we get out on that? 1196. So again, like, that's like 8 cents worth of a hit at most. And then, you know, so for me, it's a risk reward thing, but you're 100% right. The afternoons have been an absolute disaster. And yeah, we should be going short, 100% period. I know I still have this Fisker and I'm looking at it and it's not, I'm already out of Fisker. It's just, this was again from that low all the way up, and we didn't take it out at the ultimate high, which we should have. But Fisker was a fantastic trade for me today. I was just holding this to watch it, and that's what made me realize that now we're back down here to 1250. So I mean, trying to pick up some of these levels. And again, if I look at Fisker on a 20-minute chart, I know I'm going to like this 1250 level right here, right? And I'm going to say, oh, maybe I go long here and hold it until 1230. It's like that's part of the mentality that goes through my not working mind right now, because I'm looking for longs, and normally I play off key levels. And that's why I was upset, and I talked about this with Danielle, and then right before we came on, I was upset about Facebook, right? And I'm gonna put some trades on, so let's start to do that in a minute. But it's just like this 1250 here, that was a short, like that was its previous low. If you missed the short, you had another chance right there, and then look, it's just straight to the downside. And now I see this consolidation, and I want to look long when instead I should be looking short. So I mean, that's the problem with how I trade. But I'm gonna fix that, you know, soon. We have no choice. I'm up today, and I'm actually doing quite well. So net is everything's fine. Nvidia was a hero long today. We hit that $6 long. I mean, I'm not going to change the way I trade, but at the same time, you are 100% right. You have to look for different opportunities and take what the market gives you. So thanks, Frank, for that one. I'm going to go look for a Facebook short right now.
I just saw this one pop up, and thank you guys in the chat for this. This is another reason why it's the best community out there. But BRCC popped up on the radar. I just had a quick look at it. It made a parabolic move up, a second one here. No halt somehow. Like this managed to make an 18 break here. I guess no halt to 20, but then made another break here at 20, getting all the way to $23. And it looks like it resisted the halt and then immediately fell back down. So wasn't quite quick enough to catch this. It's surreal to me that we just had Luis Barbado on, one of our Day Trade the World family, and the discussion he and Brendan had, which is true because we've been saying it for the last couple of weeks, is there have not been many halt trades or small cap low floaters that are just going so parabolic that they make that 100% club or that they halt multiple times. And here we are randomly today finding a bunch of them. Maybe that's the only game to the long side, and to the point of finding the shorts, I bungled like. Whether it's missing DoorDash, whether it's getting out of Rivian like $4 ago when the trend was to the downside and we got the double top. And sometimes you got to be better. And I know I have to be better about this. And I actually said this before we got off the show. Like when you find a level like that where a lot of people were trapped in the 70, where it's like, oh yeah, look at 70. That's an even dollar break. Rivian's relatively strong today. And it pops up, but look at the double top at 71.50. When you get a high like that, sometimes you've just got to find a way to hold. Now, the structured like to find defined areas trader in me says, when I do that trade and it's counter trend because it's a strong stock, I'm looking, where's my out going to be? Oh yeah, look at that, 68.5, 69 level. That's obvious. I'm going to get right on that bid. It's relatively strong. That's where the buyers would come back into the stock, and I get out of it. Sometimes you've got to be willing to throw that out the window when the market's telling you it's a short. And I found myself in no shorts, looking for them right now, and then not finding anything I love. I mean, I wanted a firm when we came on the show, and I was like, yeah, it's starting to come in. We might get a real test of this level here, but 39.25, and that was just after 2 o'clock. I mean, it's lining itself up, and then it just falls. It just falls like 20 or 30 cents earlier, and maybe that's what it's all about. The sellers are they're emboldened, and they're going to start coming in at prices a little bit sooner than you anticipate. So maybe it means you have to take it further away from your level by a hair. And then you take a few less shares so that the risk is the same. But that's what I'm kind of feeling here today, because I don't find any longs that I love. I tried Palantir off 12 again. It didn't work out. Maybe, and we were just talking about PayPal, that just put in a break at 105. Sorry, that put in a test at 105 without actually breaking. So maybe it's found a bit of a bottom here. The market's been trying. It's just having no luck.
Oh, man. Yeah, for sure. Palantir, see, watch this, Frank. I'm looking long if we break right here, 1202. I think the market could retrace now, get back to VWAP. So let's see if that can come through. I mean, and again, this is just what I'm looking for, a name to get back to the upside. Palantir down 15%. So I see stuff like this and I'm like, what? And I want to go long, right? And so we'll have to wait to see if that's going to work out for me or not. But that's what I'm looking for right now. But I am looking for a Facebook short. So if Facebook breaks right here down to the downside, then we'll play that short. And it has to be the low of the day, which is this 208.78. So we'll play off that low of the day here on Facebook if it does break. We do have the 50 period here as some support. Maybe if we punch that to the long side, then we'll see what's going on. But for right now, not much going on except for Brendo. What's up, bud?
Hey Sean, that's me. Just to remind you guys to like this video, team. We have almost 4,000 people watching. So please support the community and give us a like. It's absolutely free for you, but means so much for us and for YouTube algorithm. So go along on the like button. Back to you guys.
Neil has an interesting thing on DWAC.
DWAC just fell like an absolute rock. I mean, like, goodness, right? Like, yeah, monster volume spike. I don't really see anything that hit the wire, but we've seen DWAC do this multiple times here. And today, I'll just assume it's sort of the same rug pull that we've been seeing. $80 has been support. I'm looking right to previous support this morning, 85.50 and 84.30. Those are the two levels. If it comes back up and there's any kind of a retest that we can short, I want to catch the rubber band here. I'm not thinking about where to buy it. $80, fine. I would take a shot at it, but otherwise, I'm just going to assume we have another rug pull. Brendo, news?
Headline there, guys. Looks like a New York State judge is going to allow both Donald Trump and his children to be deposed in a New York courtroom by an attorney. So that just came across a few minutes ago.
Oh, I was trying to read it.
We're just reading it.
Yeah, we have
Okay.
a small little program monitor here, so that's hard for us to read that. But could you just maybe say that one more time, Brendan? Sorry.
Judge has granted an appeal, which is going to allow an attorney to depose both Donald Trump and all of his children in courtroom, guys.
Okay.
Is that enough to...
I mean, I don't know if that should spar DWAC to the
$6
downside. I mean, I almost feel like this puts the Trumps back in the news again, right? And I mean, is that a bad thing? I don't know, but there's the dip down in DWAC. Yeah, okay, this is just a 1 minute trade here. Obviously a lot of volume. I feel like somebody took that headline either the wrong way or something, and I expect to move back up. But again, I'm not going to trade this blind. It's not that we're blind. We know the story now, but it just seems like they must testify.
Yeah, I'm going to cancel my offer.
So,
I'm not sure about that anymore.
I don't know, but not only that, I just feel like that's good for the Truth Social. Like, isn't it? I mean, if they're going to be back in the news now, they're probably going to be the #1 follows, or I don't even know what the Truth Social is going to be.
Like, I'm confused by, like, okay, so that's a bad headline, like in general, so you drop, but like $7, that's just, to me, that's like, there's no
but
bid.
the price is irrelevant.
That's a no bid thing.
Yeah,
man.
because there's no liquidity.
There's no liquidity. And speaking of no liquidity, like two things I'm going to point out, and these are not, the chart is real on BRCC. I was just talking about, I didn't get to it fast enough to try to short it. And halted down at $19. Indicated open is actually flat. That's probably because it already dropped almost the entire thing in one move. Like, that's crazy. It was resisting halts to the upside, and then they pulled the rug on it. CPTN, I'm like, no trade zone. Please don't, like I'm not, like, I wasn't actually begging anybody not to trade. I'm just saying I would never touch this with a 10-foot pole. It's halted down, so it just dropped $15 to $65.58. Its auction price is $37. Right now, it's indicating an open here. Halted there, indicating an open here. I'm not saying actually now it's even 35, so it's even lower than that. I'm not saying it's going to open at that price. It has probably a couple more minutes. It's a 10-minute halt here, so probably has 3 more minutes to settle itself out. But that's the danger. Like, as crazy as that ISPO was, at least it was something like it would trade for a little bit, a couple of minutes, and then halt. And then at some point when it came back down, it would trade for like 20, 30 minutes, half an hour, or an hour without halting. This has not been able to stay open because there's no liquidity. That's why I was sort of shouting those warnings. There's no such, even if you were deep in the money, it doesn't even mean you can get out. And if you are in it, then there's something called a market on open key, which is sometimes even your friend, because that's guaranteed liquidity. In this case, $40, it's all over the place, adjusting where it's going to open. Maybe it settles somewhere else, but I'm not touching this one. There's no way I'm going to be trading that stock. The one that I actually did try, that NVCT, I tried to catch this one here around $9, ended up getting shaken out of it, and then it keeps coming back down to this level. So this one is pretty interesting. You're seeing successive lower highs, double top at 970, then a couple of 950 highs, but every single time, the halt bottom is now being held like a glove at 825. So you've got a pretty solid level at 825. I feel like if that goes, it could get ugly, and you have a pretty defined top there at about 970. So you can almost play that in either direction off of these levels, understanding that when those levels break, this is one that can also halt in either direction. But NBTC, that's an example of something you can actually trade here and try to follow your rules, understand that you know what your losses are going to be, as opposed to, well, I don't know, you could lose anything on that CPTN.
Yeah, very, very risky. And I just want to say, we're almost in Facebook. So Facebook right now, here it comes. There it is. Okay, we are now into a short. Ooh, it almost points right at it too. All right, so here we go. Let's see what happens here. If the market does continue to tank down, obviously we are going to enjoy this ride to the downside. I don't have any targets. My target, and this means it's probably going to break. Look, it hasn't cracked this 50 period the whole way down. So I'm going to wait for 209.50. That's right where that is. So that's going to be my out. 209.50. You do the math. I'm short 71. That's 80 cents. We need to get this thing down to 208 flat, which here it goes right now. I'm going to put a bid around the quarters to take out a piece. And again, this is just how I trade, right? Need to get it back down to 208 to make this trade worthwhile. But I have enough shares that if it goes down halfway, I will take a piece out. So we do have a bid right now at 208.30. Let's go short. And yeah, man, that was easy. Like if you just wanted a quick 30 cents there, like how easy was it to get that right there? We didn't take it, but I'm just saying, like, to your guys' point, yeah, the short seems to be a hell of a lot easier than said longs. But right now, 209.50 is going to be the out. Hopefully it doesn't target in for that one. Roblox, we may or may not reload this. Actually, I'm going to cancel that reload. We did really good on this, man. Like, I can't. Like this bottom there, Frank, and everybody watching, the same bottom that we had on Nvidia for a $5 winner today. We have the same thing right here on Roblox. A down tick in this market. Boom, boom, boom. Took it all out. That's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. I don't know what my math is, but I only have one piece left. So we'll see if this can go. Again, we'll get out if it takes out where we're in. We're not going to let this one lose. Normally, I would use 53 as the bottom, but we're not going to do that now. We're going to just get out if it breaks where we're long. So 53.50, breaker, 1.9. Do you read? Because that's where we're going to take that one out, and hopefully we can crack a win on this one. But Roblox right now looking like it wants to head southbound, Neil. I have no idea what these imbalances are going to be, but I feel like today, if they're positive, then tickle me pink or whatever
that would be a
hell that saying is. I'd be surprised as to hell if this was, as to heck, sorry, if this was a buy imbalance, but who knows?
Yeah, so, I mean, you're going to see me just pop into a long on NBCT. Like I said, it's got a defined range that made some sense to me. So that 825 is an easy out. I think if it reverses off that, fair enough. I know where the top is going to be as well. So risk to reward is going to make some sense. AMAT, I'm looking for something that's maybe not holding on the low of the day. But AMAT had a great higher low, and we ended the show at 11 o'clock, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to hop on the bid here, buying AMAT at about just under 137, and of course, did not get the trade. Should have just hit the offer. So what I'm going to do here is hit the offer on AMAT, because if you like it and you like the level, I know where the out's going to be, and I'm not giving it to the low of the day. I'm just giving it right back to this like 136, like 40 bottom. The risk to reward is relatively tight. It's less than 50 points. AMAT had a great report, and it's not that Nvidia didn't have a good report too, but there was nothing you could really point to negative on the name, and they just got swept up in the rest of the selling. And at least I'm not staring at something which is pressing the fresh lows. This made a severe bottom and then at a higher low. It's now holding the higher low. So I'll take that. I think it can be scalped at least for about a 40 or 50 cents, 1-to-1, and then see what happens after that.
Okay, new position alert here. I forgot to tell you about this, but we were waiting to get in. And it's just back in, so you can take it with me if you want right now. I don't know why I'm long Microsoft and short Facebook. But right now, we take the Microsoft long through VWAP there of 292.25 or so. I don't have a good price. I have 39, so I don't know what the heck was going on there. But nice move to the upside. We just cashed out a part of it at 59 for that 20 cents. So let's wait to see if this one can work. On that note, I did take Facebook out for flat when that ripped up. I still have the Facebook short. I took out a piece for flat there, only because, again, guys, like the Microsoft long popped in and it started ripping. So I was like, okay, let's take that trade. But you can see right now, it is coming back in. So if we do break this price again, I don't want to be holding along just for the sake of it. So let's wait. Yeah, see here, now the market's coming back in. So let's get out of some of this and let's just play the short. We shouldn't have got into that one. That popped in pretty fast.
Yeah, and so I'm immediately going to be trying to scalp out both. I mean, I have a small cap and I have a big cap, AMAT there, but it's the same approach. If I think that this top is pretty defined on NVCT at 940, I want to get some out in front of the first level, which is 860, 1-to-1, and then some out in front of like 880, well away from that $9. And the reason why I want to be a bit more shallow with this trade is you do have successive lower highs here, and that's what you don't want to get caught off guard with. It's been making pops after longer consolidation, so I want to give it a chance to do that at least one more time here, but you don't want to get too stubborn about it. And of course, I might be in that AMAT pretty quickly in and out, but at least I identified something I thought was relatively strong. Speaking of something that's not relatively strong, lows of the day just got made on a firm right at 37.50 and then put in a bit of a wick bottom. Now, normally, I detest low of the day breaks at this time of day. I'm gonna make an exception because of what the market's doing here. I mean, if the NASDAQ is gonna be at the low and a firm is gonna break somewhat of a round number, I'll take a shot for the scalp trade there. I've already got a long in case it bounces. I feel like one of those two has a decent shot to work. And that PayPal 105, that's coming pretty quick as well.
All right, so there you go. Out is Microsoft as fast as we could there. Good outs too. Like we took the profit, got out for flat, then held a little bit and got out on the 90 break because look at Facebook. It's crash city right now. Hopefully to the downside. We are looking to pick up some bids. Again, if we can get it, man, at right around here. I said we'll bid 30s. Let's put a bid out right now and take it. Bang, there it is. Thank you so much, Frank Jones. What up? There, no more crying for your boy as we go to the downside right now. Down, 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 down as the market continues to crash here. So let's see how far we can go. We've got Facebook and we're loaded. So 50-cent win here on Facebook. Just took a piece out right there. Should not have got out of that, but that looks bad. But that was for flat. There it is. We change it up. You know, and that's where you have to be here. You know, if you're going to trade, and we said this earlier on actually about trying to be flexible and trying to go, and Danielle mentioned it as well, you know, play the trends. And when the trends are this obvious, sometimes it's just like, just go with it, man, because like fighting the Fed, fighting the trends, things like that, these aren't, people don't say that just for reasons. Like there are legitimate reasons why this market has collapsed. We had Peter Schiff on yesterday. I asked him, when would you buy? Dude looked at me right in the face and said, never. So, I mean, I don't really know if I'd be that doom and gloom, but his reasons, valid. I mean, it's just a matter of perspective. So watch out, man. I don't know where these markets fall to, but I'm happy to be short right now. And let's just see where we go. Roblox, you know, about to get cracked as well. 53.50, waiting for that one. Roblox, a big name for me today, but at the same time, you don't want to hold things through these bottoms. Let's see what happens with this imbalance coming out in 15 minutes, guys.
Yeah, and that's a big one. We are only 15 minutes away from those imbalances, which is crazy. You just had another wick bottom. So it was a wick bottom on a firm to 37.50, and it was another one here at 105 on PayPal. And look, if this gets taken out, PayPal, like the trend is pretty clear. I tried this at 107 earlier, but that was in front of a clear bounce off of 106.80. Tight stop. I'm not going to be going long on PayPal. Someone just said, yeah, the market's capitulating. 100% it is. And the reason why I went to AMAT, like I said, you show me, like the market just made another fresh low there and then went almost 3% down on the NASDAQ, and AMAT basically did nothing within this range. Like that's, like to me, if it's not doing something like this, I don't want a piece of the long, right? It's just, it's at a higher low. It's shown the ability to bounce off that level. It also has a good catalyst. Am I still going to scalp off someone 1-to-1? Not even thinking about VWAP at this particular point? Of course I am. I think it's reckless not to. You'd be crazy not to make sure you bank your profits, but you got to be at least a bit careful. I just looked a gift horse in the mouth. I showed you guys where I was offering on NVCT. I'm going to go ahead and probably cancel. I don't know if I'm going to get it here. It got right to my offer and then turned around and didn't give me the fill and then instantly stopped out. And did I even get the short? No, I did not get my short on that stock. I don't want to chase it. Don't make me chase it.
It's probably not. Oh, yeah, I was going to say maybe short sale.
It's not SSR. You know what it is? Because we can't reverse on a single order. We've sort of gone through that before. It has to be quarter to short sell. So the downside of getting into that long position does mean I have to fire 2 orders to get out. So I got the fill to get out. I did not grab the short. I don't need 2 orders to try to grab the short. But yeah, I could have been in the short, the reversal. Clearly that would have been the right decision. So I'm going to do this and flush myself down the toilet because I kind of told you it's going to be a break one or the other. I thought I'd get cute about it and go long and then try to reverse into a short position. There's the hit on NVCT. It broke that 825, and it's already like 60 cents down, which is crazy. AMAT's in the money, I guess, but I got to take the profit on that. I said I would take some at 1-to-1. There's no way I can miss out on getting that after the miss here on NVCT.
Yeah, so just a quick update here. We're moving our stop order because we have to. Well, we don't have to, but I'm using the 50 period. So if you're going to use something like that as your stop order, you got to move it when it starts to move. So I'm 209.30 now, target out for Facebook. So that's great because that was exactly the same as the profit we just took. So as long as it comes down and if we get stopped out, then it'll be a flat trade, which sucks because we're trying to make that cash. But, you know, we'll take it. We'll take it. We'll see what's going on. And we still are holding a proxy for the long year with Roblox. And if the futures do take off here, which they may do, man, the NASDAQ And again, we targeted, and I told you earlier, this 14,400 was super key. We already this was before this happened. We've already bounced off there. So really, I'm not going to turn too bullish until, like, if the futures are not at 14,400 tomorrow on the NASDAQ, then I'm going to be hitting the shorts again in the morning. So wait out for that one. A sticky note will be all over the shorts there tomorrow. Again, my best trade today by far. It's about ready. Oh no, we have this huge wick up. Okay, that means I got to edit the chart again. But this Nvidia bottom. So we defend. I mean, and again, if you're taking longs now, and I think this is the important thing, is you want to be in and out as fast as you can. So in 252, out the same minute for a $1.50 winner. Back in again, 250.75. Out 5 minutes later for $3 or $2.50 winner. In again right there. Out for $1. Then when it finally breaks, we lose on that one about 50 cents. Then we let it fall all the way back down. Be disciplined, wait for that trade. Comes in, barcode, barcode, barcode. Hit the long, boom, right back to the upside. In. And now Nvidia is trying to do the same thing right now, barcoding at these bottoms. So hey, if you want to take a shot on something, why not, man? Nvidia might be a good trade here through the 50 period of 245.20. I'm going to take that, guys, and use this 244.20 as my out. So let's go long right now on Nvidia.
So Australis Lux, it's a good look. Asking a question like what SOX is going to move just like Amex, or Amex is going to move just like the SOX. It's a comfort thing. I'm accustomed to trading the equities. I was looking at and trading this level, well, at least attempting to trade this level earlier in the morning. So for me, when it gets to that price, I kind of know what I'm looking for. I have an idea of what the slippage might be. So that's what I'm going to jump over to. When you're trying to express trades off of key levels or in a particular segment of the market, it's just, I just find it's best to do it where you're going to be able to follow your rules and be able to execute well. So, you know, if you find it's better on an ETF, you might be 100% right. And I could be 100% wrong, but I'm still going to go for it in AMAP if I feel better and more comfortable about it there. Certainly, we can trade all those ETFs. They're available to us. Very rarely is something like that we couldn't trade. And I said I would do it. There's no way I was going to let this one, let the scalp trade 1-to-1 get away from me after missing out on that short in NVCT. So I did take some out at the top end of the range in AMAT. So at least now that can't turn into a loser. Speaking of NVCT, I'm going to go ahead and cancel my offer because I'm going to go ahead and assume if I get that fill, I really don't want it at this point. And the reason I was upset with myself is because two things. One, I know I have to fire 2 separate orders to reverse from a long to a short in that situation. And you know, there's a way I could have done it to increase the probability of me getting the fill using 2 separate types of stop orders, one a J and then one a script. I didn't do that. I kind of went the lazy way and put 2 script orders, which makes it just a little bit slower that way. So it's on me. Like that's a bit of a brain fart on my part. I could have had that short. If there was liquidity to get out, there was liquidity to go short, even if I had to chase it a couple of extra cents. And now you're seeing it fall to, guess what? The halt up, like this is a halt down at about 825. That's the level it broke. And then the halt up price was about 735. It just barely got past that before consolidating. When these things halt, a lot of times it's like gravity toward those previous halt prices. That's what we're looking for. I still would love to take a shot at a firm at the low of the day, but the market's trying to make a bit of a bounce here and don't have to get this trade. I'm going to cancel my stop to break the low around 350 because there's no way I actually want to get in at 350 at the low of the day. That's not a setup I'm going to take. Like if the imbalances push it through the low of the day, I don't want that fill. I'll give it a few minutes. Maybe we can get that one in last second. It's looking pretty unlikely.
I'm just looking around. It's like I have like so many shares here of like random things. Okay, so here goes Nvidia. We take that here breaking through the 50 period. It just did tick up. What are we long again here? 30s? It just went to 55. Not good enough. We're going to take some out if it comes up here to the 80s. That way it can support this bottom of 244. So let's go. We'll take a piece out if we can get it to the upside right now on Nvidia. So hey, if the market wants to dance, then I'm over here, man. I'm your partner. So let's go to the upside right now, and we'll see the offer right now, 245.85. So right here, if it comes into this area, we'll take out a piece and then see if we can float at 247. That's what we did earlier. That's how we had the $5 winner on Nvidia. And again, like to me, well worth the risk if we're going to use it back to 244, especially now that we have the NASDAQ testing the same levels. If we can break through this, remember, we have 8 minutes, like, The worst thing that's going to happen to me, not that's going to, but that could happen, is like these imbalances come out and they're a buy, but just before that you get stopped out. So, I mean, do understand that at 350, the NASDAQ and the NYSE imbalances get published, and those are market on close orders. So if someone comes through and wants to sell Nvidia at the close, they're going to put like 1 million shares to sell, and that will create an instant vacuum to the downside for Nvidia. So watch out for that. Obviously, Nvidia is a little more aggressive as a $244 stock off earnings than Facebook is, but Facebook did do a little bit of a dance, tried to go back up. Oops, what is that? Now we got to adjust our stop order one more time. 209.15, and we're out here on Facebook. So if that breaks, now actually this Facebook will be good for us today, here today. So we'll wait to see if it can hold that level, because right now, the fact that we already took out, that was a 77 and we got out at 33, so that's 40 cents. So basically that's the 40 cents right there. So if it does go back up and we somehow get stopped, not somehow, but if we get stopped out at 209.20, that'll roughly be a flat trade, and for me, well worth it here on Facebook. That's my new target for the out, 209.20, guys. What's up, Brendo?
Another earnings name, guys. Back to day highs here as the market. It's amazing. Trying to bounce, but GRIN, which reported aftermarket yesterday, big report for them, 21% on the day, just made, as I said, day highs on volume, still going.
Look at that. There's a stock. What are you? That's not an IPO small cap nonsense thing. By the way, Young Money 22, shout it out, baby, because when Sean said, if you want to dance, look, you know what? For me, I would have to say I'm Your Huckleberry, because my favorite movie, one of my favorite movies of all time, is Tombstone. And so when that got pointed out, we're thinking alike. Nerds unite, movie lovers unite. GRIN, you get the award. You are the non-nonsense stock, and you were at the high of the day. I wish it was AMAT. I can't say that it is. I forgot to point this one out. You actually, when we came on, you probably saw me in Zila, in a Zila trade, right at like 2 o'clock. Yeah, well, this could have been actually my big regret of the day, because I took several shorts in this, and you're going to see it roll over. I'm obviously not in it, as you can clearly see here. So there's Zila, once again making its move. It feels like the day is coming. The stock is going to go to $1. It's been grinding higher. It's already had double top rejection. So just worth noting, like if you look at this, let's go to the 15. Like this is what it looks like if it gets to that buck again. It actually has a decent chance to make a consolidation and then a run at $1 in the next couple of weeks. Although days like today aren't going to help it any. But this one's on my radar every day that it's above, say, 70 cents and hasn't yet broken $1, because I love it when penny stocks get to that price. There are trades to be had in either direction as long as you're willing to play momentum. I'm rolling with AMAT going into this imbalances in 5 minutes. Either it gets up to VWAP, or we take out that low. If it breaks 137.50 and we go more than 70 cents in the money, I will tighten my stop like we do every single time with these trades. I'm going to cancel my firm short through the low of the day. We'll have to. That'll probably just have to wait for tomorrow. I might sit down and put that same order in, at like 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
And here we go. Let's spin it. Money. There it is, Roblox. Good trade here for me on Roblox. There's the out right there, 54.20, 54.16. Actually, we talked about getting it out into this area, and that we did have, that, I called it a proxy, but it was just like something on board in case the longs came in. Well, guess what? The longs came in, and we just crushed that on Roblox. Look at this bottom right here, 53.50. Boom, 54.20 out right there. Good trade on that one. Come on, Nvidia. You can do it. I was going to say I'm your Huckleberry, but that's your line. So I feel bad already saying the gift horse one.
No, that's a great line.
No, it's a great line, but
line.
I give it to you. It's your thing. But I'll figure out something else. But hey, like I said, man, if the market wants to rally, I'm here for you. So let's go all the way to the upside right now. Let's see if this can take off. I mean, I'm happy with this Nvidia trade. We put it on for you. Let's see if it works. Come on, Nvidia. Let's go back up to this 246 level. Get these guys out, and then we'll celebrate the rest when it goes to 247 and change off this imbalance. The imbalance coming out. This is the thing. 3.5 minutes. So I'd love to get this out on Nvidia. One more push to the high side, guys. Guys, hit the like button for that Roblox trade. Hit it for the market. The thing is, if you hit the like button, the market will rally and or go down. It just reflects to whatever position you have. So let's see what happens here on that. Whoa, that just went to 70. Oh, I'm at 80. Darn it. Nvidia almost got us out right there. Facebook, though, guys, maybe this is the cash we do. Facebook now tank city right here. Back down. Yes, let's go, Facebook. Spin it. it again.
Money.
I mean, wow, here goes Facebook.
Money.
40 cents in the money. Do we want more? Yes, we do. And yes, we can. Down to the downside. Look, that DWAC stuff, all I was saying was I don't think, the Trumps being summoned into court is a good thing for them. I think it's a good thing for DWAC because it just puts more eyeballs on whatever they're going to tweet or whatever, however that works. I mean, I don't even know
to me
what the true social is going to be.
I was going to short it, and I was like, look, if the headline that comes through doesn't really add up to me that it dropped to $7, I'm not going to jump into the short.
Agreed.
Goldman had a great question there, and sort of. I'm going to answer it here because he asked about like Morgan Stanley. Apologies for the chart. Should it be a buy here at 95? I prefer the Canadian banks, at least in these market environments, but there's nothing wrong with a Morgan. It's got a couple of dollars to that risk level, and it's been in a good channel. So far, it's been pretty solid. If you didn't get it last time at 95, to just get a scalp and maybe run it there. And then it's not a horrible thing to hold on to, these banks. Remember, they're more on the trading side, not the lending. So it's not quite as good as some of those traditional Canadian banks. Like I said, I'm rolling with AMAT. It's time. 1 minute to go. We're going to tighten up the stop here. Looks like it has a decent chance to break out. We're up 50 cents in the money, and the only stock I could find that I like to the long side. Looks like going into imbalances, we are heading back up. So we'll see what they come out as 350. You know what can happen when those drop. So make sure you take your profits and have your stops.
All right, there it is, guys. Yep, we'll just go whoa. We'll catapult ourselves through again. Nvidia, the number one stock profit-wise for the show today, and you're going to see right here, boom, again, right there again. Stay with what's working, right? Microsoft, Nvidia, stocks like that. Stay with your shorts on FB, in and out, and we still have it now. But there's the 55 cents. Okay, let's just wait to see now as these balances are coming through as we speak. Not as we speak, but in a matter of seconds now. And if you're trading with us here, it's 349.17, 349.18 as we go here. I'm going to just right-click this and sort this out. We don't need ARCA. We just want NYSE and NASDAQ, and they're going to come through these imbalances in just a second. I'm going to put it here so we can watch the stock and we can watch the futures. So let's watch out for Nvidia as if they have a sell imbalance. Well, first of all, I got to change my Facebook out as Facebook right now is cruising to the downside, 208.40 right now with only 15 seconds to go. I need to fix my Facebook
these are pulling back
stop, but yeah, Nvidia, I don't even have an out for Nvidia, so let's wait to see where we go on this one. But with only 7 seconds, you're going to see some fireworks coming through right now on these trades. So watch out for Nvidia, watch out for everything. There it is, Apple.
That's why I put the trail in.
Apple with a big sell there, 3.69 million
Softy
shares.
1.4.
Softy with a sell. Palantir with a buy. Hello, puff pass on that one. But here we go, Facebook now, $1 in the money. It's a banger as we go to the moon. That's the wrong one. Let's go, guys.
Yeah, and look, to me, I pick one direction. I say get your stop in so we can at least win on the AMAT trade, but all those imbalances to the south side, and the market just absolutely tanking.
Let's go. Yeah, Tank City reigns supreme one more time. Look at the market going to the downside, and look at your boy with Facebook. The People's Trader is back, guys, and we go like this. Where's the hole? See ya, Facebook. Down to the downside. There we go. 207.50 just touched. Let's put a bid out there. If we could take that, we should, man. 207.50 for Facebook. That was $1.20, guys. Let's go down to the downside here for Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, the Apple one, by the way, that was a huge imbalance on Apple. It's by far the biggest. Of course, this now doesn't want to load up here. But you're going to see it's not really a gap down, but that went from $1 away, almost $1 away from the lows, to breaking the low of the day on Apple.
See ya.
So we're basically going to be heading to the low of the day. Again, it feels like every single day it's the exact same thing. One of the ones on there, NUAN, whatever, that's actually a buyout that has a 2.5. I'm not sure what's up with that.
Done. That's it. Done. What's up to Frank? Thank you, Frank, for changing me up a little bit there and telling me the right way there, because we switched up our game on Facebook ASAP. Look how easy it is. Look how easy it is to get the wins to the short side on this stock. Wow. There it is. We cashed that out. That's a great trade for me. We're done now. I'm not taking any more positions, I don't think, anyways, unless something dramatically changes. And on that note, cancel. I have like 5 pending orders there. Let's cancel them all.
And stop.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Sorry. Stop orders. Cancel all those bad boys. Roblox. Thank you for getting me out, Roblox. Well, actually, Roblox didn't drop that much. I thought it would have absolutely tanked there, but it doesn't look like it did. Roblox out right there. That was a good one for us. And then Nvidia, okay, came back up a little bit. But again, take the money and then lose a little. That's how you trade those numbers. Fortunately, it does go against us, but I could really care less because that Facebook trade was really cash right there for me. We did take it out though at 62. Obviously the bottom at that time was 50. I took that on the tank down. Could still be short, man. The last bank I bought gold, man, there was Goldman Sachs, because I am light on U.S. exposure, but you remember it was at 350. So I thought it was going to be a lot worse than this, actually, when I checked back in on it. But we bought this recently at 350. It went all the way to 380, but again, it's long term, so we're going to hold on to GS on this play. But I do like the Morgan call there as well. The market, yeah, still Tank City there on a big, huge imbalance number, guys.
Yeah, I mean, Apple just accelerated to the downside. Like, it's not just breaking the low. It's actually, we're accelerating here to the downside. There was another big one, this ONB. I don't really know anything about the stock, but the biggest imbalance was not Apple. This $4.5 million shares, sorry, on ONB, and that stock actually tanking here. There's probably something up with this as far as an index action would be my guess, but I didn't check to be able to see. It's Apple that we're going to be watching going into the close. It's Roku, which we should be checking back in on. That was down 11% going into its earnings. I'm going to assume it's a heck of a lot more than that now.
I'm wondering, yeah, we can check back. Oh, that's what I want to do. I want to check Palantir because Palantir was actually a buy off that. So, yeah,
Down.
Let's just wait to see here. Where is the imbalance locator? That was the only one that I was like, oh my God, it's a buy. ONB. Okay, pass. Apple still with the sell. And look, if you guys have never seen these imbalances before, this is what happens. Like, it just cracks. Yeah, I know. I don't understand why Palantir's a big buy, but
falling.
there it is to the downside right here for Apple. You see the locator, 169.60, brought this thing down $1 straight. Palantir's still a buy, but oops, that's not Palantir. This is Palantir. And you're going to see that one. It's like, okay, that's probably Kathy right there buying those all up. We'll see Microsoft with the sell, and same thing, guys. Downside 290 for Mr. Softy. Wow, that's a great buy too. Like, I can't keep saying like pick these all up. Like, if you're talking about a PayPal, scratch that, man. Buy Softy down here at 290. Buy some real companies, man. Buy Google down here, wherever the heck this one is, 2600, man. Buy some Google. Like, don't, this talk sounds like I'm doing
It sounds
French,
very
right?
French. I was about to say that's
Google.
way too French, man.
But I'm just calling it the name here, Google, right? There's Class A and Class B shares. So pick your poison on that one. Doesn't really matter. But this is going to reverse split as well. Split. Not reverse split. Imagine that. This goes like 10 grand.
Oh, God.
But they're going to split coming up. I thought it was 10 to 1, right? Because I remember
in the summer.
No, it was 20 to 1 because it was going to go from 3,000 down to 150. So 20 to 1 in July. Yeah, pick this name up below its 200 period. Wow. Yeah, just keep the party coming here, guys. This market is a tank city right here.
Yeah, and believe it or not, like, the market be absolutely flushing, but ISPO could have just made a break, and it did. It went to the upside because, of course, this stock, there's a lot of day traders that are going to be trying to short this thing tomorrow. So the demand is going to be high for it. Above $100, it's insane, but this is where we're at. It might be actually pretty tradable if the locates are there in tomorrow's action. So it'll be on the radar for sure. Brendan?
Yeah, going to be a crazy day, I think, tomorrow. I mean, CPTN, NVCT, ANGH, and ISPO all. Wow, going to be exciting. Make sure you join us tomorrow. Let's get you caught up right now on what is coming after market and before the open tomorrow.
Oh, man, my charts. Look it up, bro. Okay. I hear Pratt talking.
Pratt asked us what time Roku
He asked me about Roku. So
Draftkings is the other.
they're all aftermarket. Like they're all aftermarket. They're not. There's nothing I don't think tomorrow morning. Normally it's the banks that will report in the morning. So we'll wait to see. I believe Draftkings and Roku. Valeria can confirm that, or Brendan.
Those are the only
after hours.
Yeah,
my charts are just having like a nightmare right now. So
Roku,
nothing loading for me.
Roku already down into earnings 11%. This is going to be volatile as you know what, because you have a bottom range that's been put in and it's pretty defined. 140 at the bottom, and the top is like almost 180 bucks. That is a wide range. We're right on that low. So that is, as Archer would say, danger zone. Yeah, below 140 on Roku, like, oh my goodness. And it's, by the way, it's already SSR. So that means you're going to come in tomorrow and you already can't hit the bid at that 140 level. So as bad as it might get, it'll be short sell restricted when it tests that 140. Doesn't mean you don't try. That's assuming things are bad. And by the way, if it gaps up, don't assume it's going to be a buy at the open just because it might gap to the upside. We saw what happened with DoorDash. Brennan?
DraftKings, guys, tomorrow morning. So there is one. DraftKings tomorrow morning.
Okay.
I prefer the aftermarket.
I saw Valeria typed in aftermarket, but we will get that corrected there not for you. It doesn't matter. It's on our board. It doesn't really matter when they report. Well, the key point is We talked about that yesterday. But the key point that I want to give, and me and Neil were talking about this before we came back on, make sure your accounts are able to execute in the pre and post market, because like Draftkings could come out with a nice report, rip up, and then just get DoorDash today.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean by that? Like it was up to 132 DoorDash at 7 a.m.
Swing traders have to be able to execute pre and post market, especially true in small caps, because you have to be able to take advantage of it before the rug gets pulled at 9:30. So we say that enough, and if your broker doesn't allow you to do it, then either make them or get that capability or find a new one. Because it's just crucial. Otherwise, you can't play these moves.
And like, if you're a serious trader, and we'll talk more about this because the market's just collapsing right here.
It's a big point.
If you're a serious trader, don't just go on Robinhood, or I mean, I'm not promoting one over the other. Just make sure that you have things that fit you. Like, to pay $5 a trade for zero, trust me, like that $5, if it gives you executions that the time of day, forget about, if it's going to a dark pool or anything like that. I mean, we can go over that. But, just make sure that you're able to execute, put market on close orders or whatever, because trust me, you won't say, oh my God, I'm paying $5 a trade, but at least you have the execution that you're looking for. So to me, that's important, but to each their own. So Draftkings is in big time trouble. Thank you for the super chat earlier. I just, in this environment, it's only down 4%. But remember, 4% today plus whatever they're up or down tomorrow. If they're down 10, that's 15% or 14% in 2 days. So, it's just nasty. At least yesterday, Palantir, I think, was up a little bit. And then today, it's down now 20%.
And it had a level. I mean, Palantir had the 12 level. It didn't hold now. But by the way, 1750 is the level on DraftKings. So, I mean, I'm not saying it goes 1750. That's $5 down from here. But that's the one. Like, if it gaps down and you want to support something, I'm not even sure about 20 even. It might blow through that, but 17.5 would be that bottom, and it has a chance to break out that 50 period. I mean, we're trying to bounce here, so we're at 3% on the NASDAQ. We'll see how we finish up. Miss V is ready to ring that bell. It's been a fun show, that's for sure. We had a fantastic guest. Danielle Shea did a great job. I'm glad we got that in. 2 days in a row, we've had fantastic guests. Market in a free fall, but guess what? When you're active trading, there's opportunities everywhere, so at least we're able to see that.
Yep, get ready to go here with only 15 seconds left. We'll see what's going to pop off right now into this market. Some big sells coming through. We'll see what happens here with Palantir. But now with only 7 seconds to go, it's Miss V on the bell. 2 and 1. Nice job, Miss V.
It's dropping too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the NASDAQ didn't get positive today. But let's find out the damage from our main man over there at the big desk. What's up, Brendo?
I was kind of hoping it wouldn't get to 3%, but that happened. Here we go. 3.01 for the NASDAQ, leading the way there, just to make it official. 2.15, 1.6 for the S&P and the Dow. Yeah, it's ugly. Yeah, we can just go ahead and turn that off, guys.
We know it's ugly. We saw it.
Yeah, we're just going to have to wait for this. I don't know if Roku comes out really soon. Maybe we could have it for you. The trade of the day was Palantir. Sure you're going to find out more about Palantir tomorrow. And, Roku's going to report. We could have another negative day tomorrow. Palantir did not act not properly. I mean, it just went down in the last hour, like continuously to the downside there. So
don't forget what you were saying about the weekend. Like the Olympics end this weekend, so you might have... That's when something could happen in the Ukraine. So Friday is going to be crazy. Roku might be out.
Yeah, Roku popping right now. I don't know if it's out or not. It's up to 150. Here it goes. Go to the chart here if you can quickly there, Lucas. Just quick time, just to show you guys. There it is. So 145 close. We're already up to 151. So we'll see if Roku can beat it. But guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We've already shouted out Danielle Shea, so thank you for coming through. Thank you to Tim. Thank you to Lucas. Obviously, thank you to Mr. Trader Pratt over there. Hopefully, you're not in any positions right now, Pratt. As he's getting ready to go on his new fancy shirt. Thank you to Ms. V, your first week back here, almost coming to an end. My kids have a PA day tomorrow, and then on Monday, we're not here.
It's a PA day?
Yeah, it's a PA day tomorrow. So, and then Monday they have off. So it's, what is it here? It's Family Day, and then it's President's Day. Over there, South Side. So, guys, thank you so much for joining. For Neil, for Valeria, for Brendan, I'm Sean. We're Trader TV Live, and we're back tomorrow. Good luck on all these earnings. Ciao.